And we're live. Greetings and salutations. I'm Unthoth Neverborn, the abyss that slumbers, and you are listening to Eldritch Rants, the show that dares to ask the question, where are we going and what am I doing in this handbasket? The answer to this question and many more will be answered by our panel of experts, including Drew, who's our resident expert on dealing with good intentions as a construction material. Freddie Van Bumstink, who is in charge of Hell's Ironic Punishments Division. Ironically, he's really good at his job, but nobody listens to him. Gwendy Wook, who is also a professional succubus wrangler, so that's a very interesting job there. And finally, we have the Mad Libertarian, Mad Dodge himself, who we have no idea how he even got on the show, but what we do know is he has a bag of magic teeth, and it's quite possible he's granting his own wishes. At any rate, the answer to that question and many more will be answered by our panel of experts, but we're going to be starting off with general topics here. Anybody want to bring up anything before we get to the sad opening news?
Oh, sorry, not that kind of bringing up. Okay.
I understand.
Do you know the way?
Do you know the way? I do not know the way, but I will show you the way. I will show you the way, but you do not know the way.
You need the Ebola to know the way.
Do you know the way? Ebola.
Okay, brothers. Spit on the non-believer. Spit on the non-believer.
Ebola.
Protect the queen. Spit on the
Protect the
non-believer.
queen.
Do not have the monkey sex.
Protect the queen with your Ebola.
God, I'm gonna die.
Ebola.
I put it in my ear and it make me ill, but there ain't no cure, no, there ain't no pill for Ebola.
La la la, Ebola.
The doctor says I'm sick and I won't last long, and I might not make it to the end of the song called Ebola.
You're welcome, by the way.
Oh,
I had to.
God.
Oh,
I'm
that's awesome.
dying. Help me.
All right. Speaking of
It's a
dying,
beautiful thing.
Oh no.
Rogue Venezuelan helicopter pilot killed by police. For those of you who have been following the show, we have also been periodically updating you on Oscar Perez, the Venezuelan police pilot accused of stealing a helicopter and using it to attack the country's Supreme Court. Basically, he dropped a bunch of flashbang grenades on their Supreme Court building. They declared him an international terrorist, and he used to drive around on a motorcycle into villages, give inspiring speeches, and when the police showed up to arrest him, he'd drive off into the, forest. In my opinion, the guy is, just plain awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when they finally cornered him, you do not want to watch the last stream he gave where he recorded his end. Basically, from what I gather, he tried to surrender, disarmed himself, and they shot him.
Yeah.
That's
nothing
Venezuela.
unusual for that place.
And the problem is that I would like to say that he has been turned into a martyr and inspiring others, but I think the fact of the matter is no. Venezuela just doesn't give a crap. I mean,
Yeah.
we like to call it Quequezuela, but there's nobody there. They've all given up. There's no hope. It's like, the Lorax has left town. All the trees have been cut down.
The Lorax has left out.
Yeah, I'm trying to make light of it to some degree, but this is just sad.
It's kind of a place where everyone's dying on such a mass rate. One more person, regardless of the act that caused them their death, it's sort of kind of like, yeah, is another one dead? Okay.
They're so desensitized to the idea of anyone that tries to do anything against the government is just gonna die, so why bother?
Yeah, this place it is a hellhole now. It is a hellhole now. The government has ordered the prices of food to be reduced, which means nothing because there's no food to buy. And, hyperinflation is taking over. And this is and for any communist who says, this isn't really socialism, go to hell. That's my place. You guys, this is what you want.
I'm already in hell though, Bob.
Yeah, we're close. That's what the panel's from. So that's why I figured you'd be great for answering questions this week. At any rate, anything else on this topic before we move on to some more fun and interesting stuff?
Yeah, do you think capitalism would work better down there?
I think at this point what they need to do is just, freaking no regulations, period. I know it would, be anarchy, but anything is better than what they're doing. Like, these people are running down cows and beating them to death with rocks and sticks so they can tear apart the cow carcasses and take the food away. Like,
Well,
when
you
you
would
are
too if
reduced
you're
to
starving.
murdering cows with sticks and rocks.
Murder? Wait, you don't murder a cow. You slaughter a cow.
Well, that might
Right.
be. I
Murder
prefer
implies
the I
a
prefer the
person.
phrase murder. They murdered it as hard as they could. There's
But
degrees
you-
of murders.
I mean, no, but no.
I just like using words improperly.
I'm proud of you.
Well, no, I just think that if they went to a more capitalistic system, then that would fix most of their problems. Don't you
The
think?
government needs to disappear. No government would be better than whatever they have.
I don't necessarily agree. I feel like they do need a complete government overhaul, but I don't feel that having no government would be better than what they have. Because honestly, what they have at this point is pretty much just a free for all. Because there's nothing nobody can do about anything other than sit there and pray to God that they get something. That's why they're running around killing cows and shit. Because they ain't got no food. There's nothing they can do.
Actually,
like,
it's basically
how the fuck do they not have food?
the government is nothing more than a criminal organization at this point. This is basically what happens if the mafia takes over your country. I mean that's what it is. There is no government. Period. This is just so. I mean, yeah, total capitalism. Anything restricting government's interference in business would be better because all this price fixing is what's killed everything. You know, they sent people out to arrest bakers because the bread they made didn't have enough flour in it. And then they said, but you didn't send us enough flour to make bread. You know, and it's just scapegoatism and all sorts of stuff. And dear God, I mean, I don't even know how anybody's living down there.
Very carefully.
I don't know. I just know my twins are like trying to take over the show, so I apologize.
That's fine. That's fine. Wouldn't be the first time that some twins took over a show. I think what is that? Full House is a perfect example of what happens.
Oh my God, my wife loves that new Full House. I hate it. I'm like, oh my God, this is garbage. And my wife's like, shut up, I'm watching it.
Whatever happened to responsibility?
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Postmodernism. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Postmodernism. That's what happens. The minute you disconnect, cause and effect and responsibility with duties, you get, where people go with anybody can be anything at any time. All right, well then who's going to take out the trash? Somebody's got to buck up and take care of the chores around your house. And
Nose goes, dude.
Yeah. So.
Well,
anyway,
I've only really got one question on the Full House issue. Is Lori Loughlin still a hottie?
Which one is that?
She was the really hot Sheila that was rooting Joey, or the one with the slick back hair.
That was Uncle Jesse that you were thinking of.
Wait, what's
and
guy's?
She's
I can't remember the show. I just know
she's
they had
aged
twins
well.
on it.
Yeah, she's aged pretty well.
She has aged pretty well. Like, I'm sorry, I would. So has Uncle Jesse though. Oh my God, John Stamos.
Well, you know what I noticed about that show when my wife was watching it was Bob Saget refuses to be on other than like 2 episodes. Like, he won't even show up. So
they won't pay him enough.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's not.
That's literally his excuse is that they won't pay him enough, and it's like, well, I mean, you're a shithead, but okay.
Actually,
have you actually ever heard like Bob Saget's like
oh my God,
stand-up set?
I love Bob Saget's stand-up.
I love his stand-up. Oh my
he's
God,
like crude as hell.
So the last person that should be on a show like that, right? But fucking, that's the reason why, because he never really fitted his comedy set anyway. And there is a doco on it, and like right at the beginning when they gave Bob Saget the part, he really didn't want to do it because it was too tame for him. That's you probably find there's a reason why he's not in this one now.
That would make more sense, but like, even then, I mean, like watching Bob Saget stand up is the funniest thing because here's the dad from fucking Full House, literally just swearing like a goddamn sailor and telling all these really crude, terrible, awful jokes that are great. It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, let's get a little more specific. I mean, the awful jokes are about Kimmy Gibbler, right? He was going to fuck her in the ass. That's one of the jokes.
But I think the point...
anything to take away from that rude head.
To turn this around a little bit, get a bit more serious about it, I think that's what makes the best comedians, is that willingness to go wherever it's necessary to go to get people to crack up. Like if you're limiting yourself, saying, you know what, we can't make jokes about, dead people or women or anything that might offend people. Well, guess what? You're going to be the world's most boring comic. And the more willing you are to go out there, it probably is the easier for you to act. The weirdest thing is it's hard to be a comedian. It's easy to be an actor. Like, so if you can be a comedian, you usually are a great actor. It's why, you look at all these people who are cracking jokes and make everybody funny. When they do serious part, it's like, whoa, what the hell's going on? It's because, if you spend all your time trying to read people and trying to be what they expect, you can, be serious when you need to, because sometimes you need to be serious in order to be funny. Bob Saget is a perfect example, as far as I'm concerned, of if you know his stand-up, he's freaking crude as hell. But, he could turn around and be the sweetest, most gentle, passive-aggressive dude on the planet, and then probably turn around and, make really crude comments about how he boinged your mother.
Yeah, well, that's what threw me, because, all we saw was, the clean-cut, fucking stereotypical, father you'd want, and then they're going on about his stand-up, and then, I'm like, shit, well, how bad can it be? And I'm just, watching it go, fucking hell, this is good.
But I got to say this, I would, considering how Hollywood is eating itself lately with the whole Me Too movement, Bob Saget is probably one of the last people I would expect to be a sexual molester or any other that crap, simply because he's willing to tell crude jokes. And I know that sounds weird, but the people who are willing to be normal are usually the ones who don't have secret fetishes of chewing on shoes. Anyway. Moving on.
I mean, with the right amount of ketchup, I'd consider chewing on a shoe.
Well, Eldritch, I totally agree with you. I think absolutely people like him and Dave Chappelle and even Jeff Dunham, for a small margin, they're not going to be the people outed in this Me Too movement. That's not the people they're targeting, nor should they, because really, I doubt they've done anything wrong. It's the people that are passive-aggressive and hide it, right?
Oh, yeah. If you hear the words male and feminist, run. He's either a rapist, a child molester, or probably a child molesting rapist.
So, Steve Shives and his teddy bears, what do you think about that?
Yeah, he is terrifying, and everything he touches should be cleaned with bleach.
Fair enough. Asked and answered. Go ahead and continue your show, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Moving on. I know this is a bit late for everybody, but we only do this once a week. Doc says Trump got perfect score on cognitive tests. Apparently they jumped Donald Trump without warning. I'm not sure about that, but hey, let's go with the press release. And did a spontaneous cognitive test to see whether or not he was crazy or incapable of doing his job. Apparently this has been set up a long time ago. The president is supposed to periodically be tested to see whether or not he's cognitive with it or not to do his job, and apparently he aced it. And also, although the doctor explained his overall health was a little weird, saying he's in perfect health except he's a little obese. Wait a minute, he's not in perfect health if he's a little obese, okay? We all know he likes to suck down cheeseburgers, all right? So we all got our little sins. I'm not worried about a president eating a cheeseburger from McDonald's. But that said, as far as the cognitive test was concerned, he scored perfect, which is weird because the actual test, I looked it over. There's some really weird tricks questions like, repeat everything that I say after this statement. Okay. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Now, you might make the screw up of saying the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, but what you're supposed to say is, okay, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. A lot of people miss that little first statement because they just dismiss it. He caught that crap. Yeah. The mass section, everything. So all these people are saying Donald Trump is crazy and they never examined him. Well, here's a doctor who worked for the previous 2 administrations examining the previous 2 presidents, and now he's moved on to Donald Trump and said, nope, this guy's A-okay to run the country. So
that actually sounds to me more like an aptitude test than anything else.
Well,
right,
it
that
is.
doesn't really sound like a cognitive test per se, but more. Well, no, okay, cognitive might be a good word for it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's still fit to run the country because I still don't think he is. But that's more for like his credentials
Wendy.
and shit. I don't feel like he is
You're
good.
roboing a little
Wendy,
bit there.
he has ran the country for a year. It hasn't fallen apart. We're not at war with North Korea. What exactly do you take umbrage with? Because I didn't vote for him
Touched a
either.
pussy once.
And well, no. I would like to explain real quick because I've never really talked to Wendy before. I did not vote for Donald Trump. I will not vote for him in 2020. I'll vote for the Libertarian candidate. But what do you take umbrage with exactly?
I know I have a whole list of things. My brain is slightly dead. I have pneumonia, so I'm sorry. But I know I have had I have a major issue with the idea of building a wall. That right there pissed me the fuck off and continues to because I really think it's the stupidest fucking idea. I'm not terribly happy with the tax plan that he came out with because I've seen based on like the projections in the future how it's going to fuck over the middle class and the lower class and pretty much do nothing but enrich the 1% that's already rich enough. I don't think they need more help with that. I'm not terribly fond of the idea of gutting Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, which is something that he said he wouldn't touch and totally did or is planning to, from what I'm understanding. So no, thank you. And I think he's a crass ass nugget.
Okay, well, you brought up 3 very specific points. I'd like to cover one of them at least.
Okay.
When it comes to the tax plan, I believe it gave me, which I'm in the lower class, I'm not rich by any means. It gave us a higher tax refund. So it did give us a tax cut. Also, the wall I would like to touch upon. I would like an Ellis Island style immigration. So you apply, you give your background check, a health check, and then you're let in. But that being said, should we not secure our southern border?
Is it not secure already?
Is it? I don't think it is.
But what
I
makes you think
believe
there's
they're
going to be any
digging tunnels.
change between the fence that's already there and a wall?
Well, see, here's the problem. They voted to expand the southern border twice. However, Congress never allocated the money for it. So, legally speaking, the executive branch is required to build the law, I think, like in the past 8 years twice, except that Congress never gave them any money to do it. So, this whole we don't want a wall is pretty weird considering Congress voted for it twice.
I still don't agree with it. I don't see what makes you think that a wall is really going to stop people that really want to get here. Like, they're going to find a fucking way if they really want to get here.
Well, we won't stop the ones who really want to get here, but it'll stop the ones who kind of were casual about coming here. And actually, apparently, considering the huge drop in immigration, just because Donald Trump's in charge, I think there was a significant portion of people who were just kind of casual about coming here.
Well, Wendy, do you think a virtual wall would be better? So cameras and motion sensors, stuff like that, would that be a better solution to you?
In my personal opinion, I feel that the entire immigration process is fucked and needs to be changed before we even talk about walls.
I can follow you on that. That's why I push for the Ellis Island style immigration. I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah, we totally need a merit-based immigration. I mean, right now, the whole that you get let into the country based on your country of origin, that's insane. Like, just because of where you were born, you're allowed into the country. That's
stupid. That doesn't, just because like I could be born in Germany and still be a fucking serial killer. That doesn't make me good just because I'm born in Germany.
Yeah, I'm all for, you know what? By the way, one thing, Donald Trump has already walked back from the wall from sea to shining sea deal. He's already expressed that he's willing to give up on that if he gets other things that he wants in concession. So, I mean, to be honest, I know he keeps talking about, we're going to build a great big wall. It just got 10 feet higher. I really think he's just using it.
He's what he did with like the Dreamers and the DACA. That stuff really bothered me as well.
You don't like DARPA? Is that a big issue? DARPA or whatever?
DACA.
whatever. I don't know how you pronounce it, but like I don't like that they're taking away a lot of the stuff for the dreamers, because I do feel that they should have a path to immigration, or like a better way to become like actual citizens, because most of them have lived here their entire lives. Most of them actually do pay taxes.
Yeah, but
Why
the
can't we just make them fucking
But in
citizens?
the
wait a
decades they've
minute,
been
though.
here, well, one sec, let me just make a point. In the decades that some of them have been here under DACA, they never applied to be a citizen. All right, they never even applied. That's my problem. If you, I know, understand it's a 3 to 4 year process, but if you've been here for more than 4 years, you should have started it. I mean, I have very little sympathy.
Well, no, and the 13th Amendment wasn't there to support the immigrants. It was there to for newly freed slaves to become American citizens. So the 13th and 14th Amendment doesn't necessarily apply to the new immigrants. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that. It still just to me boils down to the whole immigration process in general needs a complete overhaul. That's really where my thing is, and the fact that no one wants to address that and would rather just sit here and throw a bunch of people out whose livelihoods are here sounds like bullshit to me.
Well, you know what? I don't want to skip ahead, but let's do that now since it's relevant to this topic here. The government shutdown. The government
Hey,
shut
I heard
down.
about this.
Yeah, the government shutdown, which happened yesterday. Happy dance.
Yep.
Was around basically Donald Trump saying we need to overhaul the immigration policy, and if you're going to include DACA in this budget, I'm not signing it. So you either give me a clean budget and we'll deal with the immigration in a different bill, but if you're going to include it in this, no, it stops here. So right now, Donald Trump is fighting to redo immigration. He wants to get rid of chain migration. He wants to move to the same system they have in Canada and in Australia. Both systems of immigration I like. It's merit based. You get judged as an individual, which is the way I think it should be done. We should not judge somebody on their country of origin. We should not judge somebody based on their race, color, or creed. It should be entirely on who you are and what you have to offer to the country. Now, that said, if you want to allow unfettered immigration, I got no problem with that, but they don't get any Social Security, they don't get any social benefits, because we used to have open immigration, and 1/3 of all immigrants self-deported because they couldn't survive. If you're going to have a Darwinian-style government where nobody helps you, but you're allowed to come in and do whatever you want, that makes for a very strong country, but you'll also lose 1/3 of all immigrants. If we're going to be helping people when they get here, well, I'm sorry, then you've got to pay for the buffet.
Well, that's not necessarily true, though. When the immigrants came through Ellis Island, you had whole populations of Polish, Irish, and German-speaking people who grouped together, and they were the poorest of the poor. But they rose through that within 2 or 3 generations. And now you have Donald Trump, and you have these other people, businessmen in Boston and all this other stuff. So it's not necessarily that we have to support the people that come here, but they have to be let in if it's okay. If they're not diseased, if they're not terrorists, let them in, and then they will blend in to the American experiment. It will happen. History has shown it will.
Right. It just takes time, which a lot of people right now aren't willing to give new immigrants the time. That's like a major issue. Like I've told you guys about like the issue with like Somalians here in Minnesota. A lot of people are sitting here bitching, pissing, and moaning that they're not, acclimating to our way of life. And it's like, well, yeah, they've only been here for maybe 10 years, which sounds like a long period of time, but in reality isn't. I mean, it took like my ancestors a good chunk of time to get used to America. And we came to a part of the country where we already had people from like our area of Europe that were settled in this area. We were able to go there, have people that spoke our language, and then we expanded the community, learned English, and went through with everything in the matter of a couple generations, which is how it's supposed to work. That's how that shit works. That's how the world fucking rolls. But no one's willing to give that time anymore because we all seem to think, no, you need to do it now. Like, for example, I told you guys earlier I was shopping with my mom. And there was this group of like maybe 5 or 6, like this family of people speaking Spanish. And my mother is sitting here bitching, pissing, and moaning. Why don't they just speak English? Why can't they just learn English? They come to America, they can learn English. And it's like, Do you really want to start this? Because seriously, do you really think that when your like great-great-grandparents came to America that they spoke English right away? How fucking dumb are you? Are you fucking shitting me?
Well, then again, though, you look on the flip side. The majority of America does speak English. That is a fact. We don't have a national language. We don't.
Yes, you're correct.
But still, English is the de facto, is it not? I mean, so
But
the
even then, to
children,
expect them
I
to
bet
speak this
you.
immediately.
Well, I bet you the children knew English and they were speaking Spanish to appease their mother.
It's a distinct possibility. I'm sure that the children do know English, and they probably speak Spanish with like their parents or aunts and uncles or grandparents because that's what they know. But they can also speak English as well. Which then, when you hear them speaking Spanish, like in a store, then you have people like my mom sitting there bitching, bissing, and moaning, "Why don't you learn English?" Like they probably know it, but I bet you the grandparents might not know it as well, and that's why they use it because it's easier for them to understand. But I'm sure that they speak both pretty darn well.
Well, here's two things I want to bring up real quick then about this. As a counterpoint to this whole like, why do we have to like push them to learn English? We have a client here that we've dealt with. I'm going to obscure the details a little bit. He has problem with English, and unfortunately, because of that, this evening they wound up in the mental hospital because of how they poorly described what was a physical symptom. And they thought he was talking about people being inside him, so he got committed. And he did have a bit of a history, but he was not having a psychotic episode. He just was explaining himself really poor. Being able to speak English is important in this country because misunderstandings are bad. Now, on the other hand, as somebody who deals with a lot of suicide prevention, that sort of thing, I will tell you this: what accent you have, how well you speak English, I make a lot of snap judgments about that. But I'll tell you this: when somebody speaks English a particular dialect, speaks English from a certain section of the United States or from a different country, it tells me things. Okay? How you speak English is very important to how you interact with culture. So I'm of the opinion that everybody who does come here does need to speak English, because just learning the language beats into you certain cultural ideas. That if you don't have these words, you don't have the ideas. And trust me, that does come up.
Eldritch, I would like to challenge you then. What about Southern dialects or Northeast?
The guys who speak slower, I treat them differently. People who come from the South speak a lot slower. They're a lot more deliberate and thoughtful in what they do. And so I don't have to be as rushed about it. Yes, some people go, and they sound stupid because they Southern drawl. But the fact of the matter is, if you actually speak with a Southern drawl, you have more time to think about what you're talking about. When I talk to people down South, there's a lot less and those other sounds you make when you're processing and you've spoken faster than you can think. You don't hear that a lot when you're dealing with people from down south. So while in some regards people up north think they're stupid, I find that actually they're just taking their time to talk so that they know what they're talking about and they don't
I would
misspeak.
100% beg to differ on that.
I'm talking in I'm just talking in generalities here.
I was gonna back him up. Okay, so I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was only there until I was 2, and then I was raised on the West Coast, California and Oregon. So I don't have a draw. But, I mean, really, though, when I'm talking to people from the South, which I did a lot in telemarketing, yeah, they do take their time and they choose their words wisely. I would kind of fall on the side of Eldritch on this one. Gwendy, tell me why I'm wrong.
Like, I don't feel that just because people in the South kind of draw out their words that it's because they're thinking better on what they're trying to say, because I really do not agree with that whatsoever, because I talk to an awful lot of people in the South, and a lot of them really have no idea what they're trying to say, and they don't pay attention to the words coming out of their mouth half the time. But that's not to say that people up north are any different. That doesn't change depending on where you are. I personally think most people are just really fucking dumb. But at the same time, like, I get why you would think that. I know, like, for myself, I don't use a lot of And I'm not from the South. I don't have this issue. But I don't think it has anything to do with where you're from, what your dialect is, or how fast or slow you speak. That all has to do with just how your brain is and how fast you can process the information that you want to get out of your mouth.
I'm talking about a cultural thing, not like average IQ of an area. I'm talking about how culture is. America is a whole patchwork of different cultures. Even here in the Northeast, we've been settled by 3 or 4 different cultures, all from the same island called England. And trust me, we still kind of hate each other. All right. I mean, it's been over 400 years. So this whole, we just need to give them time to settle in thing. I don't entirely buy that because, trust me, Central New Yorkers hate downstate. We do. We hate New York. If we had enough votes, we'd vote them to make their own state. We'd get rid of them in a heartbeat. And downstate.
No, and
Sounds like
I'm from. Well, no, and I was just gonna say, like I said, I'm from Shreveport, and my family fought in the Civil War. If you want to pit me against a Yankee, then fuck the Yankee, right?
Ouch.
Eldritch, you said something about New York, so fuck you too, right? I mean,
No. There's New York City. Although the irony is that when I talk to a lot of people who aren't in America and I go, I'm from New York, they go, oh, how do you stand the big city? I'm like, no. There's more to the state than the city. Thank you very much. But
see, no, I tell people I'm from Minnesota, and the first thing they go, oh yeah, sure, yeah, betcha. I'm like, I don't sound anything like
Bobby's
that,
World, the mom from Bobby's World.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Bobby's World. Legume World. We're going to Legume World.
Oh my God, the mom from Bobby's World is so the Minnesota accent. That's
like it's so funny. It's so funny though because that Minnesota accent is actually more prominent in Wisconsin than it is in Minnesota. I'm so sorry, it's true, but like a lot of people from Minnesota don't really have that strong of an accent unless you go further north, like towards the Iron Range. When you get closer into Canada, then like towards the center or the southern part of the state, where like I'm from, like central Minnesota. So it's not really that strong here. Like that's why a lot of people from like the Midwest area, because we don't really have much of an accent, end up on like news broadcasts and as meteorologists and things like that. Most meteorologists are actually from Minnesota, which is really fucking funny to me.
All right, let me ask you a question, Wendy.
I have an answer.
Bet you don't. See 5 Muslim blokes, they point at you and say the word tarush. What would you do?
I would probably ask them what that means.
No, you don't, because that means we're going to use you as the rape game. See, that's the reason why it's beneficial for when you're in an English-speaking country that people speak English.
I mean, in all fairness, I can run around telling everybody a shut-a-bell, but that doesn't... that argument doesn't really mean much to me.
Well,
to be honest, I'm not entirely sure where we're going with this.
How do you guys say it? Minnesota?
Oh, by the way, hi, Jacob. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to chat. How's it going?
Mm.
Oh, Jacob's here. Hi, Jacob. Hi.
Our one fan. Ooh.
I know. Our one little fan. I love him.
Well, Eldritch.
Biggest fan.
Okay. Yeah,
Eldritch,
sorry.
When are you gonna come on the Red Eye, dude?
I keep meaning to, but then my job gets crazy, and then I'm too beat. But you know what? I'll be coming in. By the way, everybody should check out Mad Dodge's The Red Eye stream. It's pretty cool. I keep meaning to get back on it, and something always comes up. But maybe tomorrow, if you're doing it, I should be able to. But it won't be until after 10, given the way the work's been lately.
You'll have to tell me what it is later, because I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure what your show is about. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, Mad Dodge Productions, we do the Red Eye. It's about politics and history, and it's kind of like this. We just bullshit. It's a good time. YouTube fired me, so now we're uncensored completely. So fuck them all, right?
Oh yeah, we all got fired from YouTube if you have under 1,000 subscribers or something. You know what? To be honest, I wasn't making any money off of them anyway, so screw it. Anyway, shall we move on? Anything else on this topic?
Eldritch, you know what's funny though? I gotta throw this out there. I made about $40, and now they have to pay out, which I didn't have to until I hit 200 or 100, whatever. But now they have to pay out, so I will get that $40.
Does that mean?
Check.
Does that mean I'm finally gonna get my like $3 royalty check from YouTube?
Oh my
That's
God!
right.
I didn't realize
I can
that
pick yous all.
they got to pay
I
out
can
that
pick yous
final
all.
amount.
I get
Yeah.
1 of a cent.
You get
Yeah,
what?
Eldritch, they fired us. They have to pay us out, dude. So
That's
yeah.
bizarre.
We're getting paid
That's
I
hilarious.
sure hope I
think
have
they owe
my
me like
current
Well,
address
$4.
on there.
speaking of almost getting fired,
Hmm.
Aziz Ansari, or whatever his name is pronounced. I'm sure everybody's heard about this guy.
Aziz Ansari?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
we were just talking about
Oh, yeah,
something similar to this earlier.
Yeah, he got like accused of some shit too, didn't he?
It was the lamest accusation of sexual assault ever, where the woman basically said, I'm uncomfortable with this. He backed off a bit, then he hit on her some more and said, hey, I'm going to give you oral sex. So he gave her oral sex, and then he asked for it return, and she did. And then afterwards she said, I was really uncomfortable with this evening. And so a bunch of feminists called it sexual assault. Like, he did the right thing, periodically asking her, do you want to do this? And she said no at some points, yes at others. And then afterwards, because she wasn't happy with the sex, she wrote a whole article basically, blasting him for, I don't know, doing everything legally. And then, a bunch of people freaked out. But here's the weird thing. A lot of mainstream media is going, this accusation against him is totally bullshit. That's the summary. They're basically defending Azari, and I'm like going, wait a minute, up until this point, the whole Me Too movement has all been about fry every man alive, and here we have an example of this guy where the media is actually protecting him, and I understand it's the best case for defending a man, but part of me is also wondering, I wonder if this is a setup. I really want to know the actual event took place, because it's a little too... Go ahead.
Well, the thing I find funny about it is that out of everybody that's been accused so far, this Aziz fella, he looks like the creepiest bastard you've ever seen. He dead set.
He doesn't. Aziz is adorable.
No, he does. No. Some of the things I've seen him in, you're just like, yeah, totally. But but the way the accusation came out, it's sort of like, normally I'd believe it, but for some reason I don't this time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if the event happened. It was such a, how do I put it? I've done a lot of ghostwriting. People have paid me to write stuff for them, so I write it and then I hand it off, and I'm not allowed to say it's mine. But I've learned a bunch of writing styles. That really struck me as ghostwritten. Like that article, the way the woman was describing it, it was a little too well made for something that was emotionally upsetting. When you're upset, you're emotional about something you're writing about, that was a little too clinical. For my taste, it just didn't sit right.
Yeah, the thing of it also is in that it's sort of like she didn't really actually say no as such. It was all just I'm uncomfortable, and
why couldn't he read my body language and know I didn't want to have sex? Is basically what the article was. Why couldn't he read my mind? I was sending clear signals. Well, apparently you didn't say no, which is the clear signal.
Well, no, and what was really bullshit about that is she gave him head, right? That's a total fucking... That's a decision. You know what I mean?
I mean, if it was a matter of she felt that she had to do it, or otherwise it would have been negative consequences, that'd be a different story.
Yeah, but
I personally haven't
actually
read it.
This wasn't like they were related. He met her at random almost. They flirted for a week. He asked her out. Now, I'm going to be honest. Having sex on the first date is pretty weird to me, but I'm old-fashioned. I believe the old rule was you don't even think about it until the third date at least. But
I mean, I like to get my rocks off, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say the second date. The first date, she's a whore. Second, that's
ouch.
Okay.
I also spend 2 weeks talking to somebody before I'm willing to go on a date, though.
Oh, well, that's different. Yeah.
Okay.
If you got a waiting period before the first date, then there you go.
Right, I have to know you before I'm willing to go anywhere with you.
Yeah, we got a simple criteria out here. Is do you root on first dates? Does your dad own a brewery? Can I see your tits, or can I feel your tits, or can you show them to me? That's simple rationale. If the answer is no to any of the questions above, I'll be leaving in half an hour. If you want to come along, fuck it.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't find an article about that one, Jacob, but I do want to get around to that one. Sorry about that, but in regards to this one, I'm not sure if it actually happened, but if it did, yeah, it's totally bullshit, anything happening to Z. But, to be the conspiracist weird guy, part of me is wondering if the Me Too movement or the people who manufactured it realized, whoa, we kind of went a little too far here. And this is kind of their way of trying to throw on the brakes, because it was really weird how everybody in mainstream media did a 180 and started defending this guy. In fact, there's like this one woman who came out and says, I put my career on the line to defend this guy, and I was so pleasantly surprised when my Twitter followers didn't want me fired. What? What the hell? I mean, that's a little weird thing to put on your CNN show there, that you were expecting your Twitter followers to demand you getting fired. I mean, who even thinks that way?
Sympathy mongering.
Well, because once you get everyone whipped into a frenzy, I mean, it really ends up being that whole manhunt. And if you start defending anybody after you've been sitting here on this manhunt, they're going to turn on you. And that's a legitimate fear to have when you are working on social media or in the news like that. So I understand where that's
Well, Randy, I have a question. Like, why is there an uproar over the Me Too movement and not Seth Green? He was actually murdered. I mean, just killed. And they said, oh, it was a robbery, but they didn't steal anything. And by the way, he worked for the Clinton administration. That's
I have no idea
interesting.
who that person is. So I'm sorry. I'm not a Clinton person.
Eldritch,
that's the guy who... Yeah, isn't that the guy who did the leak from the DNC emails?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, he got killed?
Oh, yeah.
He got straight murdered, and they said it was a fucking robbery. And
except they didn't steal anything.
Kind of a cover-up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's par from the course. If you look at the number of dead bodies around people who are accusing the Clintons of anything, it's pretty crazy. Like, never prove it.
Oh, well, I got dirt on Hillary Clinton right now. I live in Oregon around Blue River, so come find me. I have dirt on the Clinton administration. By the way, subscribe to Mad Dodge Productions. We'll tell you about all that dirt. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, Eldritch. I couldn't resist, dude.
He had to get his plug in.
Plug away. This has always been about promoting other people anyways. Oh, that's right. Channel names. Actually, I believe I gave you a wrench. So, Mad Dog, you might want to put your channel up.
All right, yeah.
Post something in the chat, on the live chat, and then I'll give you a wrench.
Okay.
Well, I think Bob touched on something a little earlier with the whole everyone's sort of going a bit full on with the Me Too movement, but then all of a sudden they're kind of like, I'm wondering if this is a tactic where everyone's sort of like, you're blaming too many people arbitrarily, and now they're sort of saying, well, we're not all blaming all men all the time. Don't get me fired because I didn't like this person who they said was a nasty man. Feel sorry for the accuser now.
Oh, well, it's, in my opinion, I think the Me Too unit was kind of manufactured, but the problem is that it got out of control. Whoever was trying to get it going actually hit a strong nerve, and then it just took off. And they were like, whoa, wait a minute. I just wanted to selectively destroy a few people who are my enemies. I didn't want to, randomly destroy Hollywood, because let's face facts here. Hollywood is at a 24-year low for ticket sales. This is the lowest year in sales and population has gone up in 24 years. Okay, so we're talking not adjusted for inflation bullshit. It is the lowest in 24 years, and the population, I believe, has gone up like 3 billion on the planet. I mean, holy crap. Hollywood is hemorrhaging money. They can see the writing on the wall, and for some reason they want to blame everything except for the fact that they make really shitty movies that nobody wants to see. That's your problem. But right now, I think that Me Too was kind of like, okay, we're going to clean house a little bit, and now it's out of control. Now they're trying to do damage control. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the Golden Globes. I saw part of it, specifically the Oprah speech. That was like a priest absolving the congregation of their sins. I mean, it was bizarre. Like what Oprah's little speech. By the way, Oprah, you're never going to run for president the whole attacking of your career this past week, by the way, that was the Democratic Party telling you there's real candidates going to get nominated, and if you even think of fucking with us, we will destroy you.
Dude, no, I just want to say real quick is I had a big smile on my face when we said that. Thank you, sir. No, Oprah 2020 is a fallacy.
Yeah, I mean, she probably could do a good job if the Democratic Party was behind her. They will stab her in the back at every turn, and this past week, that was just an example. That was just a little taste of what they will do to her.
I feel like if
as a libertarian
person, it'd be better.
Well, as a libertarian, I want them to stab her in the back. Oprah is my worst nightmare, dude. No.
But yeah, she is kind of like really socialist and government controlling of everything.
Isn't Kanye the celebrity supposed to be running in 2020 anyway?
Oh, fuck Kanye.
Oh, that'd be hysterical.
Yeah, and fucking, what's his name? Puff Daddy's going to be vice president, right? No.
Oh, God, no.
Now.
At any rate, anything else on Aziz? I think we can move past the Me Too at this point.
Can you give me like 5 minutes?
Oh, you need a few
to
minutes?
move past the Me Too, you have to take off your pussy hat.
Oh my God, shut up. No.
Well, if you need 5 minutes to go do something, go do it. We'll talk about freezing eyelashes for a few minutes, okay?
I'm okay with that. Go ahead.
Sorry, Gwendy, I had to.
Okay, well, the temperature dropped
You're lucky, I love
to
you.
minus 88.6 degrees in Russia. Wow,
I just muted her because she's dropping a massive fart.
That sounds like it's cold as fuck in Russia. What did you just say? Like
negative 88.6. They have a picture of a person here. It got so cold, frost was forming on her eyelashes because the moisture from her eyes. Winter is coming. Winter came. Winter kicked in your door. Winter, knocked over your dinner table, spilling your food around. Winter banged your mother. Winter then went into the, living room, sat down, set your bookcase on fire, and lit up a cigar. Holy crap, that's nasty. Negative 88 degrees. Yakutai, or wherever it is. But my God, a region of 1 million people, that freaking cold. I can't even imagine it. It dropped to the negatives in this area where it was negative 12 for a little bit there, and that was brutal. I don't even imagine what negative 88 is. That's probably so cold your spit freezes before it hits the ground.
That's the kind of Russian weather that men go out for just for a Sunday walk in the nude.
Winter clothes. Haven't you heard of the Polar Bear Club, Eldritch? Come on now, they got.
I was in the Polar Bear Club.
What?
Yeah.
You jumped in that cold water?
Yes, yes.
I've done the Polar Bear challenge. I've done that.
Yeah, run out, jump into the icy water, then get the hell out. When I did it, there were no video cameras.
No, wait a minute, Eldridge. This is important. Gwendy, I don't believe it unless I see it. So
we're talking over 30 years ago.
I don't have proof pics, unfortunately, but what I can tell you is that negative 88 is this 88 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah, negative 88.6.
The closest I've ever seen that in my lifetime was negative 68, and I had to wait for a fucking school bus.
How hard would a woman's nipples be at negative 88?
You could be like a cat burglar and cut the glass with your nipples.
You can literally cut glass with your nipples.
Yeah, I mean.
That's not even a joke, man. I swear to God, that's just too cold. Fuck that.
You go to piddle on a tree and you'd be constantly flicking the stream of ice off the end of your doodle.
No, and Eldritch, I apologize. YouTube fired me. I don't care anymore, so I apologize, dude.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm not getting anything monetized anymore. So after that, you know what I did yesterday? I've started doing gaming streams. Just ask me anything, come by. If there's anything on your mind, talk to me. I'll stop the game. I'm just screwing around. But if somebody said, "Hey, make a swastika out of these traps for little bunny rabbits in the game." So I made a swastika on the ground of little snares for bunnies, and we started
For
the bunny
bunnies?
Auschwitz. Yes, it's
Wait.
the long dark. You capture bunnies, and then you get to break their necks,
up, dude.
and you skin them and eat them because there's nothing else to
That's
eat.
not okay. Eldritch, I have a problem with that.
You have a problem with
Those
my
poor
bunny
bunnies.
Auschwitz. But trust me, nothing will beat the bunny Auschwitz.
You know what my real problem is? I didn't get a lucky rabbit's foot out of the deal.
I actually sent that as a note to the. Oh, go ahead with the gears.
No, that was just it's okay.
No, I did send a note to the game designer that we should be able to get lucky rabbit's foots. You can't get them, but oh well. Anyway, moving on from the freezing weather in Russia. I thought this was weird. California volunteers share food with the homeless and get arrested by police.
Oh yeah, that's a thing in a lot of states.
I'm sorry, but California is one of the most socialist states in the United States, and they will not allow you to, of your own free will, give food away.
Nope.
Eldritch God, socialist is government controlled. What we're talking about when we're giving food to the homeless is private charities or private people.
Right.
So
okay,
the government
I get it.
doesn't like that.
I get it. Yeah, it isn't about the giving the food. It's that they're not. Okay. You know what? Now that you say it that way, I get it.
Either. It's got to do with the fact that they can't prove food safety. That's their main complaint, is they can't prove the food is safe because it's not regulated, which is a crock of shit, but whatever.
Yeah.
The recipient has the health of someone who's been sitting in a festering sewer pit for 16 fucking years. I don't think the food's going to be the problem.
Well, we can't let this starving guy have food because the food may be of sub-quality and not of a... we have to put this past the inspectors, and then you need to get licensing.
But how can you prove that they didn't put poison in the food because it hasn't been inspected? Or how can you prove that there isn't cross-contamination, that they didn't wash their hands when they're preparing it, blah, 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 blah. I get the reason why they don't like it, but I think it's a crock of shit.
So you starve a bum, but you can't euthanize somebody.
Well, no, and I'm wondering, Gwendy, are you gonna poison me with your cheeseburgers? Is that what's going on?
Yes, that's exactly it. I'm gonna cook you up a Juicy Lucy straight from Minnesota, and I'm gonna totally put arsenic all over it.
No, it's not gonna be arsenic. It's just gonna be hepatitis. Just a little hepatitis.
No.
Just a little hepatitis. Ebola. You do not know the way. When I give you the food, you do not know the way. The food is the way. I give the food to the homeless because they do not know the way.
You give the food to the homeless in the name of the devil.
Ebola. You're the queen.
Stop! You guys are gonna make me pee. Stop.
Oh man, Wendy, I'm gonna put the link for my Discord in this Discord. You gotta join it and come on the Red Eye sometime. I like you. That would be funny.
Okay.
All right, here's a fun fact for you. Ugandan knuckles don't actually speak Ugandan when they click. They're actually speaking Xhosa.
Learn something new every day. The more you know, a big star goes across the screen. I've got to keep that as a standard picture because whenever we do something, I got to just go, the more you know.
I didn't know specifically which language it was, but I did know it wasn't Ugandan.
Yeah, it's Xhosa. It's a specific tribe. They're an offshoot of the Zulu. But yeah, they're the ones that make the knocks and clicks.
Huh.
At any rate,
I mean, I knew the Zulu thing, but I didn't know the rest.
Shaka Zulu.
Sorry, my linguistics knowledge is mainly limited to the Romance languages. So.
I know every single language except for Greek. The problem is it's all Greek to me. Anyway.
I know no languages. I've been a lot of places, though.
All right, this is the point where I was going to talk more about the government shutdown, which shut down yesterday. I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I hope, I pray, that Donald Trump did this deliberately. That he deliberately was vague about what he wanted and deliberately set people at each other's throat to shut down the government because it happened on the day of his inauguration. And, if it did, he kept his campaign promise of, one, he got that tax plan passed, but two, he did cut the budget, specifically by shutting down the entire government.
I actually have a question about that.
Shoot.
Do you know what programs are going to be affected by this?
Only to about 10%.
like
90% of the programs are still going to be funded and go through. Like it doesn't stop anything. You know what it does affect? It does affect the senators. It affects Washington, D.C. because Washington, D.C. is entirely powered by the federal government. They aren't a state unto themselves. So the city, right. Washington, D.C. is fucked. There's a couple of children's health programs that are going to be screwed, I believe. But a lot of those are funding to the states, and the state does the program. So actually, in the end, the state is getting shafted the money. But overall, you're looking at a lot of public parks being shut down. It's
winter.
The irony is, here's the irony. When I worked for New York State, and when I got a chance to talk to my coworkers at New York State, I probably talked to about 12 people at that one work site. Nobody even knew the government was shut down. Nobody cares. This is what I think that the Democrats don't get, and the Republicans do, is nobody really cares. In fact, my dream is that when they finally work something out in a week or two and they bring the bill to Donald Trump's going to take that bill, he's going to go, wow, that's a mighty fine bill. That's a mighty fine bill indeed. Yes, this would definitely get the government going again. And then he's going to put it on his desk with one finger, push it over to the far corner of his desk, and he's going to lean back in his chair, put one heel on the bill, the other one on top of his foot, and he's going to lean back, interlacing his fingers behind his head, and he says, I'll think about signing it. I hope he keeps the government shut down as long as possible, because here's the thing. The only thing shut down is non-essential business. So if it's not essential, why was the government doing it anyways? The government should only be doing essential stuff. If it's not essential, don't do it.
So it's not going to affect like Social Security or Medicare?
Oh, no, all those people are getting their checks, and everybody on Medicare is getting their money. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, the military is still getting paid. They're going, oh, no, you won't be able to build any new bases. You won't be able to build any new ships. This is screwing over all the senators, okay, because their bread and butter all comes from the federal government. Everybody in mainstream media, if you take away the government, what do they really have to talk about? If Donald Trump vaporized tomorrow, what would CNN even talk about? They are panicking because their bread and butter is the government needs to work. The senators are going to start to panic because their bread and butter is the federal government working. And this is why I pray that this whole thing has just been one big machination from Donald Trump, and he's going to keep this going as long as he can. And I said this yesterday, I'm going to say it now. I hope that what Donald Trump does is say, you know what? I'm going to take $1 billion of my own money, and I'm going to fund the executive branch while the Congress screws around. If he did that, I would totally vote for him. Like if he started paying for things out of his own pocket, I'd be like, yep. He's going to negotiate the best deal possible.
Well, no, I will go with you on him donating out of his own pocket. But the legislative branch of the United States government is more powerful than the executive, and that's there for a reason, sir.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the Congress is supposed to do things, but the fact of the matter is they're so dysfunctional. They actually have enough votes to pass the bill that they wanted to pass. The problem is that the Democrats filibustered. And when you're filibustering, you need 60 votes. They only have 51. So the whole reason for this shutdown is the Democrats filibustering.
Good. I'm happy with that.
Oh, me too. The longer this lasts, the better, in my opinion. Because, to be honest, when you look at the services, 90% of them are still going through. You know, it's
well, yeah, like you can't go to Mount Rushmore. Who fucking cares? It's winter.
True.
I mean, do you
hey,
really
it's a cynic.
need to
Welcome
see
by.
snow? Like, do you really need to see snow on Thomas Jefferson's face or Lincoln's face, whatever? You know, whichever douchebag is on the stupid fucking mountain. I like the better mountain with Robert E. Lee and shit, but you know.
By the way, welcome by, Cynic. This guy actually does good work, so I see a lot of his videos.
And who
you should
are
check
you
him out
calling
sometime.
a dirty human cynic? I'm a friggin' attack helicopter.
We've been talking about a lot of stuff. Right now we've been going on about the government shutdown. By the way, if you ever get bored, let me know, Cynic. You feel free to hop on sometime. I'll get you on the Discord so we can chat about stuff.
Cynic, one question. Do you know the way?
Cynic, do you know the way? Do you know the way?
You guys are ridiculous. I don't know how to handle any of you.
I don't know. I just think that Ugandan Knuckles just tickles me some funny way.
I do not think he knows the way. We will show him the way. Anyway, besides the way, is there anything else on the shutdown you guys want to talk about? Because I hope it lasts for months.
Well, what about Rand Paul and the FISA issue? Rand Paul came out against FISA. He's threatening to filibuster for stopping the surveillance state. Do you think that's a good idea? We talked about that a little bit on the Red Eye. Not to plug myself again, but I'm just throwing that out there.
To be honest, I haven't looked into that much, but I'm for anything that reduces surveillance at this point. It hasn't really served too much of a purpose, and it's way too expensive. Yeah, there's been some benefit from it, but I think in a cost-benefit analysis, it just hasn't been.
But Pfizer, do you mean like the pharmaceutical company, or is there another mob like that?
FISA, the warrants that blanket United States citizens that are talking outside the country. So the FISA ones.
For example, this conversation, because you're on it, can totally be recorded and monitored by the NSA without letting us know.
Oh wait, this is being recorded?
Right now,
everything's being recorded. The internet is literally being backed up at NSA servers. They've got this place where they have like enough data storage for the internet like 12 times, and they record the internet as it goes through the America.
And yet we can still only have up to like 5 terabyte hard drives.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the way it goes.
Buy as many terabytes as you want, Eddie.
Otherwise, I haven't looked too much on what he's doing with the FISA or the filibustering or anything, so I don't really want to comment because I'm not really up to date on that one.
Well, anyway, with that thing with the NSA surveillance, you guys needn't worry about the NSA because you are already being surveilled by ASIO. By sheer virtue of the fact you're talking to me, ASIO is listening in.
Oh, wow, so it's on both ends. Hello, government spooks. How are you doing? We are trying to make the conversation very interesting for you because we know it is very boring to sit there and listen to people talk about, like, pets and things.
Do you know the way?
Does the government and the spy know the way?
Who wants to see me get who wants to see me get arrested for terrorism?
Me!
Hey, ASIO.
Again!
ASIO, listen carefully. Listen carefully. Armed. Armed. Hang on. I'll even put a really creepy spin on it just to fucking make it sound even worse. Armed.
No. Okay. Now you have to explain this because I don't think Drew. Wait, I didn't explain this to Drew, so you need to tell the story again because it's fun.
All right. End of last year, I was telling someone to leave me alone. I'd been doing it for a couple of weeks, and then I went and told them in no uncertain terms to leave me alone. Which, in the conversation, the word "armed" was used. They didn't think it was funny. They didn't see the side of the joke where the armed portion was the police that were going to go and tell them to fuck off and leave me alone, but they didn't see the funny side of that. So I've literally been arrested, and I'm on a 12-month good behavior bond for saying armed.
By the way, just as a note, because I have talked to people all over the world when I've been doing the suicide prevention thing, the term armed in some countries refers to the police, the armed, because it's not just police. Sometimes it's like the military or, the local thugs with a gun. So they don't say the police, they say the armed because they're the only ones allowed to carry guns.
Well, in England, the term is armed response. You've got two types of cops. You've got your normal bobby, which is the unarmed bloke in the black and white. And then you got your armed response. And these guys are armed all the time. They are actually patrolling London nowadays. They never used to do it. They'd go from a specific depot. But now they're actually patrolling because, well, the nature of the world has changed so much. And that's the definition between the two of them. You got your bobby and your armed response.
And I believe you got, what was it, 200, what is it they have down in there? $dollars down in Australia? You got a fine or something?
Yeah. 360
because he said,
fucking dollars.
Because he was referring to slang from his time back in Africa.
Yeah.
At any rate, moving on. We have an update, by the way. I wish I had more time and free time. I haven't had time to do this, but I still want to get around to the Feel Good Murder of the Year video. But remember Peter Madsen? They finally formally charged him with the journalist murder. He's actually going to court. For those of you who don't know, Peter Madsen is a millionaire, possibly billionaire, who wanted to build a rocket to go into space. He built his own submarine, and he invited a journalist out to sea with him. When he came back, she wasn't there anymore. And he, dismembered her body and threw it overboard because she just happened to die while he was out there, and he panicked.
Okay, there is no way that's just a panic reaction.
Hey now, have
sorry,
you ever had somebody die on your boat?
Have you ever had somebody die underwater in your submarine? How exactly would you react?
He's Danish.
Did you just assume my economic status?
He's Danish, right? He's gonna be stoned off his fucking ass. Someone dies in your boat, you're gonna be paranoid to fuck. What do I do with this shit?
Dude, you know what? I am quite irritated with that response because I'm stoned off my ass.
I wish I was stoned.
Oh, I can tell.
I would not be killing the poor person on my boat, but if they died, I might freak out. That would be weird.
I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't freak out
from overboard.
Yeah, I mean,
that's more what I'm saying.
It's like the most. It's like, you remember that song? Wasn't Me. Like the guy's covered in blood.
Yeah.
It's got here's the crazy thing. He had cameras on his submarine recording everything, and he forgot to wipe them properly, so he recorded him murdering her.
Oh, they got him in the galley, then they got him in the conning tower, and then they got him in the torpedo room, and then they're back in the shower.
I mean, seriously, it's like you videotaped yourself murdering somebody and dismembering them and tossing them overboard, and you're going, it wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's great, though.
He just erupted for an hour.
Although I did finish the trailer for the Feel Good Murder of the Year. I should post that sometime, but
Oh man, that's so funny.
Well, I didn't post it before because of copyright concerns, but now that I've been fired, I don't freaking care, so I'm going to post it even though it's copyrighted.
Right? Yeah, welcome to the Fired from YouTube Club, dude.
Yeah, at this point, I'm no longer who's this copyright? Fuck it. I don't care. I don't care. I wasn't going to get paid anyway.
Well, it doesn't
Eldritch.
matter because they're gonna stick you with copyrights from random places anyways. I got a blanket copyright from most of Europe about something that wasn't even about Europe and had nothing to do with them or anything. But it just that random video got randomly flagged in most of Europe for fuck knows reasons.
Well, no, and
anyone that's happened to as well.
Well, like Eldritch, I was gonna say, dude, like, yeah, you know, I was gonna do the Red Eye Uncensored, but I'm like, wait a minute, I already do that even when I did monetize, so that's not really a good fucking thing. But yeah, fuck YouTube, right?
Anyway, moving on. There's all these women's marches, I think, this weekend, and I don't want to even bring up an article. I just have a picture.
Aww.
Which is who runs the world with the most smarmy, arrogant feminist ever. And I think that just sums up the whole women's march thing here.
Yeah, that chick with the shit on her face, right? She's that thing in the middle, that's there for a reason. So when the patriarchy comes, she can push the red circle on her forehead and teleport away.
Wait, I need to see this picture. Where is it? Is it in the live stream topics?
Well, yeah, it's in the zip file. It's just feminism and it's a JPEG. It's just I don't think it needs this expression is the women's march. Okay, there's nothing else to say. The picture says it all. This is what they are. It's just they're not there to help anybody. They're just there to
be in the road.
To try and feel good about themselves. It's just it's just like addicted to power sort of thing.
I want to see this.
What about?
Oh, hey, Cynic. You know what? I'll send you a message later. I got to get you on the Discord, then you can stop by sometime.
Well, Eldritch, what about the March for Life? Do you put that in the same category?
Oh my
You
God,
want
no,
to know
fuck
what?
that.
I've
them.
changed on abortion
No.
my position. For the longest time I was going, I don't like it, but I considered it a necessary evil until I found out it was incredibly
Her
racist.
eyes are pretty. Her hair is pretty.
Do you know that right now in New York City, more black babies are murdered in Planned Parenthood than are born?
Yeah,
Like,
actually, I
I
was
mean, if
arguing
that isn't
that.
racist, I don't know what is.
But it's not
No.
because they're black.
Yes,
Yeah, it is. Because
yes,
it doesn't
is.
happen to the white
Yes,
kids.
it is. If you look at the creator of Planned Parenthood, she literally said that she wanted eugenics in the black communities. And if you look at Planned Parenthood where they're posted at, it's mainly in inner city communities, which are predominantly black. That's a fact. It's a eugenics program. That's what it's always
would
been.
definitely beg to differ because, like, I mean, hi, we have plenty of Planned Parenthood here in Minnesota, and we are predominantly white, like extremely so. We glow.
But do they advertise in your neighborhood? What neighborhoods
I
do
mean,
they advertise in?
they don't really advertise in any. They don't have any
Well,
advertisements.
when you look at
They
where
have
Planned Parenthood is
advertising.
advertising, it's almost always in neighborhoods of minorities, and very rarely is it in like white neighborhoods. I'm sorry, but at this point, I have to go with it's wrong because it's racist. You know,
I don't
it,
really
it
agree.
I mean, you know what? If you got rid of Planned Parenthood, but you allowed private doctors to do it, that's another story. But as of right now, I have a problem
would
with
argue
Planned
against that.
Parenthood. Those guys are, yeah, they're freaking eugenics. There's no other way to go around it now. The stats are in. You cannot lie with numbers. Planned Parenthood themselves. I don't know about abortion as a whole, but Planned Parenthood is freaking racist.
I mean, statistically speaking, abortions are predominantly more more minorities or minority women do use abortion versus like most other services, but it's not because they're minorities per
No, it's because
se.
they're the ones being targeted.
I wouldn't
This is
even go
they're
that
being
far. It's more
targeted.
because they're the ones that are most likely to be in the category of not being able to like take care of kids, and they're more likely to want an abortion because they know that they can't handle, you know, the responsibility financially for children, which is why a lot of women get abortions because we can't afford a kid.
You know that would have been my line a
don't
while
necessarily
ago.
buy
But
that.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't necessarily buy that. If you look at like Oregon, for instance, Oregon is 60 to 70% white. We have a large Planned Parenthood network. But it's still pointed at the minorities. And the fact is, when my son, who has spina bifida, they told my wife, they're like, hey, you have twins. One of them has spina bifida. We could abort him and let the daughter live. And she was like, no. I think it's more of a moral decision. We're not religious. I'm atheist, for God's sakes. I send my kids to church, but whatever. But it's not a religious thing. It's a right to life and a moral issue to me.
Well, for right now, for me, I'm not going to get too much into the details on it because it's a really complicated issue. But right now, Planned Parenthood, as far as I'm concerned, has gone over a line. They really have, and you can't keep covering this up. You know, I'm willing to give anybody the benefit of the doubt, but my doubt's gone at this point. You know, as for what to actually do with abortion, I honestly don't frickin' know. But Planned Parenthood has got to go in and of itself. There's something wrong with that place. But that said, let's move on. Briefly want to touch on Germany. They have listed alternative facts as the non-word of 2017. They're telling their people alternative facts. That's not really a word, you know.
Wait, they've been telling people what?
That alternative facts, that's not really a word or a phrase. Don't really worry about it.
Alternative facts? What the hell are
alternative facts is basically government propaganda.
Okay.
And this is just one more little nail in the coffin about how Germany is basically turning into a Nazi state. I mean, my God, the censorship they do, their internet is freaking nailed down. You can't post anything. You can get arrested there. I mean, it's crazy as hell. It's bad. It's just bad.
Well, and Eldritch, before everybody else elaborates on this specific story, you're right, man. I've argued that. I think Merkel won what Hitler lost in the Second World War. She won it through peace.
I think the irony is, though, is that in the end, she's not going to be able to hold it because, economically speaking, they're devastating their country. Any rate, speaking of Germany, moving on here. iPhone, this is creepy. If you're triggered, this isn't good for you. But man, this was just one of those things where you read it and you just go, what? iPhone health app showed strenuous activity as migrant raped and murdered German girl.
Did you at least lose some calories?
Oh, and the humor is like our coffee, black and bitter.
Oh my god.
But they use the information as part of the evidence against the person. So, you know those little health apps that monitor your health, like as she was raped and murdered, the health app was recording her health as it happened. And
I'd actually like to hear the breakdown of that. So, like in court, like with Germans being so ruthlessly efficient and all this kind of shit, you just see the prosecutor standing and going, and yes, we recorded him doing 16 pumps per second. He ejaculated within 17.7 seconds.
Oh my god.
His appendage only went in 6 centimeters. He underutilized it.
Ironically, I can see this. I can totally see this in a German theater, but that's creepy. That's creepy that your iPhone gets to record your physical traits as you die. So,
well, it's not necessarily your iPhone that records it. It's like those what is it? The Apple Watches, or like
those things.
I mean, if you're stupid enough to leave your fucking Fitbit on while you're fucking raping somebody, and you can actually like monitor that shit, you're just retarded. And I'm sorry.
Wasn't it her phone that was on it though?
I think it was on her, not him.
Well, no, and my thing is like, you're looking at the virtual reality, like face scanning technology, right? So, I mean, it's not necessarily 100%. So, could you actually use that in the court of law?
Oh, they did.
Probably not. Or they could, but like I bet you $10 it'll take a fairly smart prosecutor or a defense lawyer to just go, yeah, but that's not entirely accurate. We can't really use it. Up until that point, the point where someone makes that argument, yeah, it probably could be used. But if you want to put it through scrutiny, it won't work.
Oh, well, it was just one of those strange events that stood out to me when I saw the article. Moving on a little bit here. Okay, go ahead.
The reason why that won't work as evidence at all is a similar thing to the reason why you can't use your own GPS as evidence in court. It's because it's not regulated and it's not supervised by the government and the system and all that. They can't determine that it's that accurate. So up until the point someone makes that argument, they'll say that, yeah, the app will work until someone proves it wrong.
Gwendy, are you alive or did you just die?
My mother decided to go run for cigarettes, so I'm quickly smoking my weed before she gets back.
Oh,
gotcha.
Nice. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Moving on.
If you are dying, make sure you have your Apple Watch or Fitbit on so you can run.
The queen will be assassinated. We must find a new queen.
Yeah, I think
get the Fitbit for the queen. The queen needs a Fitbit.
I think she knows the way.
Gwendy knows the way.
The Fitbit shows the way. The Fitbit shows the way. Anyway, moving on. This article also stood out to me when I heard about it. It shouldn't be taboo to criticize parents for having too many kids. One, I didn't know was taboo in the first place, but the more I read this article, the more it's like some sort of weird, like, you know, like, oh, pro don't have any children at all sort of article. It was...
Yeah, Eldritch, I heard about that. We were thinking about covering it on the Red Eye. And they're like, yeah, they're talking about people with 12 kids. Mad, you have 6. And not all 6 are mine. I came into the marriage with my wife having 2 kids already. But that's not the point. The point is, yeah, what are you going to do? Regulate me? How many kids I can have? Fuck you. How dare you? I bet you can't. I have guns and a bow and broadheads. I will take you
It's the fucking beginning of Idiocracy.
Like, I've had it with this shit.
And I mean, I personally don't see an issue with having more than your average 2.3 kids, as long as you're able to financially support them.
Exactly.
Oh, that's always been my
Financially
opinion. I
support
think
that
they
many
should totally
children
get
means,
away with what is it? You have a number of children, so they give you tax breaks. They should do away with that. Yeah, only the rich people should have children because you've got to be smart to be rich. So then you have good children.
Eldritch,
Wow.
I'm okay. Take away the child tax break if you take away the income tax. I will agree with you.
Oh no, I'm with you on that too. I think that take away the tax break and give the same break to everybody. Take away everybody's taxes down. Really.
I like getting like $4,000 to $6,000 extra dollars.
Oh, you should still get it, except everybody should get $4,000 to $6,000 extra dollars.
But you didn't have to push a baby up between your legs.
Well, no, like straight up, Wendy. Last night we did our taxes. We got $500 out the door of H&R Block. Yeah, we enjoyed that, but that's our money, right? They already took it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they shouldn't take the money at all, in my opinion. But yeah,
I completely agree with that as well. Absolutely, I personally think that income tax is an absolutely abhorrent thing. I'm not going to argue that at all. But I mean, don't try to tell me that I can't have my motherfucking tax break because that's going to buy me a new fucking car because my car's a piece of shit.
Yeah, right. We have to pay our van off. God damn it! I'm with you, Wendy. I think we're gonna get along great.
Well, back to the article real quick here. My thing is when I'm reading this over, it really is trying to like push the whole, you're women, you can do anything, you can do whatever you want, except don't be a mother. And it's like, you know what? Nothing personal. But encouraging women to serve everybody else but their family, to be a wage slave to everyone else, but don't give a crap about your own children. That's a little fucked up. If somebody wants to focus on their family as opposed to customer service, shouldn't she be allowed to do that? This article.
Are you talking about people who shame stay-at-home moms?
Yeah, I mean, this article really, while it's saying don't shame people with it's okay to shame people with large families.
Really not understanding what you were meaning by this article. I haven't read it, so I have no idea. I go into this thing blind every single time, and I love it. But
does anybody remember the Sheila? Who gonna pay my key? Anyone remember that chick?
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm thinking this is what this article's all about. It's the unapologetic fuckwits that will just pump kids out every second month and just go, everybody go pay my kids.
Let me be real about it. Me and my wife got married in September, so this is our first year being married. I lost my job before that. I was a programmer for a CNC machine. Now I'm doing YouTube and she's working at a motel. So I literally had to go sign paperwork last night for H&R Block as the spouse with no job. That was kind of demoralizing. You know what I mean? I didn't like it. But that's the fact. Does that make me less of a person? No. We're still taking care of our children. We're still doing what we need to do. I mean, so...
Yeah, but are you unapologetically just pumping them out left, right, and center and not giving a rat's ass about
and expecting for government hands out?
That's a different story.
Then that doesn't mean you. The article doesn't mean you.
But there's such a small percentage of people that actually do that. That's not even. That's what is it? It's 2% of everyone who actually collects welfare is abusing it in any way, shape, or form, and that would be a way of abusing it because you can claim welfare for your children once you're no longer able to claim welfare. So people think that you just pump out babies to claim more welfare. And there's not a lot of people that actually do that, but because of the fact that there are a few and they do get publicized so much, it's become ingrained in our head, this concept of the welfare queen. Thank you, Ronald Reagan, you dumbass. But that being said, at the same time, those people are a problem, and that's disgusting. And then you even have I know people who are stay-at-home parents who will sit there and they can sit and collect some welfare for X amount of time. And it's why would you even want to do that though? Why why would you want to be a stay-at-home parent and keep having more children? Like, I have one friend that has like 3 kids now. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, I do
Because the
know a
government
person that does
pays.
that.
Well, okay, we had a similar system out in Australia, and our welfare system is not like yours. Like, we don't have a time limit on it. They try and put time limits on you and all this kind of stuff, but basically, during the late 80s, early 90s, they basically said to all these women, "You have kids, we'll pay for them. Don't worry, you don't need to work ever again." So there's the western suburbs of Sydney in particular, which is sort of like our version of a ghetto kind of thing. Yeah, like you had bloody Sheilas, as soon as they got their blobs, they were squeezing kids out. Fucking, and they were unapologetically saying that, like, yeah, I'm going to go and get pregnant again after I shoot this bastard out because I get another payment from the government. And thousands of these cunts.
Well, Farty, I wish you had a better name than Farty, because that sounds weird to jump off from. But Farty,
call me on better than you is then.
Oh, well, dude, all right. I live.
That's my YouTube name. That's my YouTube name.
I own my own trailer, but I still live and I pay space rent in a trailer park. I'm pretty much in the white ghetto. So, I mean, am I in that classification that you're talking about?
But are you continuing
like
to
I said
about
before,
children
are
for
you
the
running
only
around?
sole purpose of getting money from the government?
Yeah. Are you specifically having kids for the sake of just having kids and getting more money from the government just to be a leech?
I think we're being. Hold on a sec. I think we're being too specific. We're being too specific with this. Unfortunately, in the United States, especially in this state, because I'm quite familiar with how the Social Security system, safety network works, there is a level where it just doesn't pay for you to try to get a job. If there is a certain level you are willing to sink to, the government will keep you at that level. It isn't just, having children. You can give up on life and they will allow you to coast along. It's not a great life, but, it involves food and a reasonably warm apartment, minimal amount of bed bugs, small amount of money for your, so if you're willing to live in squalor, you don't have to work and the government will take care of you. And if you have the children, they take more pity on you and they give you more money. My whole problem is that, like, why are we subsidizing? I don't know if we complain about our carbon footprint, then we subsidize people having children. Like, this is one of those cases where I think we really need to let the free market do its job and stop interfering.
Well, what do you want to do, Eldritch? Do you want to stop me from having more children?
No, I want you to have as many children as you have, but I don't think the government should pay anybody for children.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we should raise everybody's taxes. I think we should lower everybody down to the same level.
No, I think this is a real issue here. So the safety net shouldn't involve the children. So what safety net would you have?
See, that's the problem. It gets murky because you're not quite sure. Where do you draw the line? At what point am I crushing somebody's will to get out of the situation versus, it's just not humane to treat them a certain way. Like, we could warehouse these people in a massive complex, and we used to do that here in New York State. I'm quite familiar with the building that they condemned and tore down, rightly so. Like, it had a bomb shelter, it had everything, it had a bowling alley, but it really was warehousing people. I'm so glad that we moved away from that to the group home setting where we have people out in the community. But that said, there is a point with some of these people, I'm telling you, we're just crushing their will to do anything. We're helping them too much. Now, the problem is where do you draw the line? There's got to be a line somewhere, and you just need to suck the cost, I guess.
Well, Eldritch, what I would propose is you open up the federal land to homesteading, and you let people create their own property. It's something that they will be proud of. And that's what I would...
Well, you know what? I think there's a couple of federal lands that do need to exist, but most of them, are mostly bullshit.
Well, you see, homesteading would actually be a really bad thing because, like, you'd be throwing everybody out into the winds, but you'd still have to stretch the infrastructure all that way for very little very little amounts of people, and for the cost, no one's going to do that.
The people that did the homesteads would have to pay for the construction to get to their said homestead, just like back in the day.
The problem is if it's government run, I see it getting abused. I don't see the distribution of it being fair or equal or to anybody who really would use it right. I kind of think it would just go to a lot of cronies.
And I think that would also open up a lot of that. You remember that rancher that refused to leave his land the year before last or something like that?
Yeah. By the way, he won. Well, kind of. Yeah, you still got to pay the fine, but
yeah, we can talk about Bundy. Bundy won everything. His son got off in Oregon for actually, dude, they actually stormed a refuge center and took it and held it for 60 days. And he fucking won that. And then they went back to Nevada and they won the other case. That is amazing. That is amazing.
Oh, yeah, so hats off to the man. I'm glad that he won in the end.
Yeah, if you go homesteading, you'll get a shit ton of that happening.
I'm not. I mean, I think superficially, it's a great idea. The details, I'm not sure about. But yeah, I'd like to see a proposal, something actually written up.
Well, no, and you want to talk about welfare? All right, let's talk about welfare. I've been on it before. I got literally $400, $440 for one child. The rent on my apartment was $550. You see the problem there? Okay, the problem starts there, and then it expands beyond that. So the welfare net right now isn't helping anybody. It's giving them money for jumping through hoops that really won't help them.
And that's
the real issue.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree. The system crushes your ability to get out of the situation.
Yeah, and no, Eldritch, if you start making money, right? Let's say I was on welfare. I'm not right now. But let's say I was. I got 6 kids. I'm getting, $800 a month? I get a job. I'm making $1,100. You would think they would be like, okay, you can keep that for 2 or 3 months and save up. And then, bam, the whole situation's over. No. They cut you off. And then suddenly, a whole income stream is gone. And you have to somehow juggle everything with your brand new job, which you also have to pay gas for. I live 45 minutes from town, one way. And that's the closest town. My last job, I lived in Junction City. That was about 100 miles away. So, I mean, come on, man.
Well, actually, that is exactly the scenario I was talking about, where you get paid $1,100, but then you take out the taxes and the expenses to maintain your job, and you actually are earning less money than if you just stayed on welfare. That situation, and if you think it's happening there, New York State, it's amplified. So, but anyway, we've talked about this enough. We should get the lesson.
As well.
Any last thoughts on this?
Yeah, mad libertarian. How much weed do you smoke?
Actually, I haven't been smoking that much. I'm waiting on some more weed. I've been clean for a week. Thank you very much, asshole.
Well, I'm just asking.
He's just tired.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, I've been drinking a little bit, asshole. But yeah, I do smoke weed. That's all right. I live in Oregon. It's legal, bitch. I'm good.
I mean, in all fairness, I do too, but I'm no longer on any government assistance because I have a job. So all of my assistance got cut.
I'm just saying because people give me shit for fucking smoking cigarettes and me complaining about how fucking pricey they are, and the only response I ever get is, well, if you don't want to pay the price, you want more money, don't smoke then. That's what they do.
No, because they're just raising the price of cigarettes. They're too expensive.
Well, no, and Wendy, I am not on welfare. We do get disability for my son who has spina bifida.
Right.
That is something that I do collect, and I'll be open with that.
Well,
but
there's nothing wrong with that.
Other than that,
I think we're going around in circles here. Okay, so unless there's a new point, let's move on. Nothing else?
Move on, please.
Moving along.
Move on.
All right, moving on real quick here because, hey, you guys all remember what happened in Hawaii with the fake missile alert? Well, it happened again in Japan. Yay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I thought they just published Hawaii's laundry bill.
Oh, yeah,
No,
Japanese
Eldritch,
public broadcaster.
I wanted to talk about this. Thank you.
Yeah, this is just, they denied it was a mechanical flaw. They didn't give a lot of details, but I'm willing to bet somebody at this broadcaster just went, I'm getting fired? Okay, screw you. Like, that'd be my guess, but...
No, I don't think so. You know what I think? I think the missile test in Hawaii was a missile.
No.
It got blown out of the sky. And
No,
then
because they
Japan
don't-
followed up a day later, and maybe North Korea fired another one. They're not going to tell us. How would we know if they don't tell us, Eldritch?
Well, one, that is a
Well,
possibility,
for
but I have an
starters-
alternative for you real quick here. Here's the possibility. They didn't do it was a false missile alert in Hawaii, but they did it deliberately, just wondering, how is the population going to react? Can we trust them to, like, not go rioting and shoot each other in the streets? So let's have a quick alert. We'll cancel in 40 minutes and see what happens. Be
Here's the
honest,
reason why I
nobody
wouldn't do
murdered
it.
each other in Hawaii when they knew the end of the world was coming, so I would say it was a successful test.
This is
And
this
you're
is
right.
a reason why they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have done it for the simple reason that they would have expected a shitload of that happening, and they didn't. They definitely wouldn't have had they wouldn't have copped the fallout of that. So that yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, and also what Farty was saying, like, I mean, seriously, what they do? They went and drank, or they went to church, right? So, I mean, it's kind of like the Simpsons episode.
Well, see, now here's another thing too. Like with modern military technology, it's not sort of cut and dry. It's not all reliable. In fact, there's still problems with the Stinger missile. It's not as reliable as everyone likes to think. Now, what happens when these new anti-missile, ballistic missile systems and stuff, they do get used in the real world, in the real-time situation, they can't help but fucking tell everybody because they want to brag to everyone about how bloody good this thing is and it's working perfectly and you can't attack us because we'll shoot everything down. Since that didn't
Admittedly,
happen,
yeah,
no
the
missile.
manufacturer of that anti-missile system, they would want to sing it from every rooftop that their missile system shot things down because that's sales for them. They would not want to keep it quiet.
It's more believable that some incompetent fuck pushed the wrong button.
I mean, to be honest, it probably is just some incompetent idiot, but, you know.
No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a million fucking seconds. You're telling me that some incompetent idiot had access to the nuclear fucking missile button? Are you kidding me?
No, the button
They
that
had
warns you about
access
it.
to the fucking
No. Wait. No, you're going off on a ridiculous. No, you're going off on a ridiculous tangent because you don't know the full story, mate. You're going off on a ridiculous tangent. It wasn't the button to activate the missiles. It was a button to activate a warning system, which is nowhere near any fucking weapons at all.
Wait, no,
It's
the warning
near
system is
a
literally
bunch of
just to tell
weapons.
people
It's
what's gonna
near
happen.
missile defense systems. It's near a bunch of weapons, and you had a bunch of Hawaiians hiding
It was
in
a
their
warning
basement.
system. It was just
Yeah,
a bunch of fucking
No,
signs.
dude,
There was
no,
no weapons
no.
involved.
It was an automatic
That's
phone
not
system to call
what
cell
you
phones.
do lighthearted. That's not like, oh, I'm gonna hit the fucking button because I quit work. No.
No. It's literally just like the emergency response system. That's all it is. It's just an emergency
Yeah.
alert to phones, just telling them, hey, this is gonna happen. Go hide in a bomb shelter or something.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly
anything
the same
related to a
system as the
defense
tsunami
mechanism
warning, and
to like
it's the
send
same
off
system
missiles.
same system as the tsunami warning, and they have fucked that up a couple of
Yes.
times. So absolutely believable, mate. Trust me, I'm a
Absolutely.
military historian. I'm in the military shit, and fucking, you can take it from gospel from me, mate. It's no fucking conspiracy.
Yeah, but within 2 days, they did it in Hawaii and Japan. Come on now.
The
That's
Japan
why
systems have failed again too.
Well, no, see, that's the part where I'm wondering if this is a test, not a screw up, but they wanted to see what would happen. But
yeah, well, Japan's tsunami warnings have gone off falsely too in the past. Like,
but
this is nothing
and
new.
in my opinion, I will say this is a bit of a good news because nobody started like going after their old boss and murdering him. You're right. Everybody either went drinking or they went to church. I mean, so it's a little hard. It makes me feel a little good that like humanity didn't break down. Now, if this happened in like Los Angeles, yeah, everybody'd be murdering each other in a heartbeat.
Okay, it had to be a fucking riot.
To be fair, LA likes to riot over nothing, so.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You don't need much reason to riot in LA.
My bad. I'm sorry, Eldritch.
No problem. No, that's what it's about. It's about the rant. Any rate, moving on real quick here, because we got some left to cover, and I want to kind of speed this up because we've been dragging a lot here. Did you guys hear about the womanless cut of The Last Jedi, where somebody took the entire video and edited out all the women?
Yes,
and
I heard about that.
Everybody knows it was a troll.
Out all the women.
It was about this is a troll. This is a troll trolling people. He deliberately told everybody, "Hey, I'm trolling you," and the media still flipped out. That's what I think the story's about.
To be fair, it was 4chan doing what 4chan does best.
Yeah. This is just 4chan. Why would they even acknowledge this happened?
I can't believe they're still taken seriously. This is 2018 now.
Well, no, I want to be for real. Like, I don't care. And I'm sure 90% of the people don't care. So why is this a thing? Like, we don't care.
Because sensationalism is what sells news, not, hey, the cops saved a puppy out of a tree today. It's, oh no, the evil men are cutting all the women out of Star Wars, and that's not even what that cut of the movie was about. They took out all of the parts of the movie that they disagreed with and thought were bad plot points. The fact that women were in them had nothing to do with it.
Oh, Drew, they'd still publish the story about the copper with the cat in the tree. They
they would.
For all the comments abusing the copper afterwards.
They would post that story, but it would be on page 12 in a small little 1 inch by 1 inch square at the bottom of the column.
And then they'll have readers' comments, like, fuck the police, fuck it. Yeah,
exactly.
That's a good song. Fuck off. I like that.
That is a good song. But anyway, back to the Star Wars cut. If you read the original thread on 4chan, it had nothing to do with cutting women out of the movie. It was just the plot points that the OP disagreed with.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. But the fact of the matter is even if it was to cut all the women out, in my opinion,
it's still 4chan being 4chan.
It's still they're broadcasting. We are being a troll. Why are you taking the bait? Why are you taking the bait? This is the mainstream media at this point is. Do you have any self-control at all? Is there anybody at the helm? Are you completely on autopilot? Have you replaced your leaders with artificial intelligence computers? Because there's nobody making choices up there.
They're just absolutely clueless, and they just haven't caught up with everything yet.
Well, no, dude, Eldritch. Yes, the answer is yes to all those questions, dude. They don't know what they're doing anymore. We are way ahead of them, and that's just the way it is. Dude, come on. I'm not Sargon, but I have 200 subs. I'm ahead of the curve, too. We're ahead of Fox News. We're ahead of CNN. They are trying to catch up to us. And that's the dynamic that you need to see. I mean, that's the shifting dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
It took them
Jacob, good point.
It took them fucking months to figure out who fucking right in the pussy bloke was. And then they here he comes. No, we're not going to interview him anymore.
Just to point out what Jacob brought up is that, this is kind of similar to the whole it's okay to be white thing. Where it's trolling, and they went for it anyways. And because they can't, because of their ideology, they can't not bite the bait. They can't not do it. It's bizarre. And this will be their downfall. This will be where they fall apart.
Well, it's like what Drew said. It's 4chan. Why are you feeding the trolls? Don't feed the trolls.
But they can't help it. It's because of their philosophy. It's because the way they view the world. They must deal with it. There is no joke. There is no humor.
Wendy, I have to feed the trolls. I have to give them their feed.
Those of us who can handle feeding the trolls, yes, we can feed the trolls.
Yes, feed us. I mean them.
Damn it, fuck. Stop it. No, we can feed the trolls because we can handle the trolls, because we are trolls ourselves. We can do this. But the regular normal people do not understand how to not fall for the bait unless you know it's bait. It's just, oh my gosh.
Honestly, though, I don't think there's any normal people. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, see, it's these guys just sitting back. They're going, look at these clueless old farts, right? let's just fucking, what's your joke on them and watch them go fucking apeshit. Because you know they will. It was like that the pool's closed thing. They did that absolutely knowing it was going to cause racial friggin' tension, even though it had nothing to do with racial tension. That's exactly the reason why they did it. And when everyone flipped out exactly the way we all thought they were, we all fucking laughed.
Now, you're talking to be clear, you're talking about the point where it moved from Habbo hotel raids to IRL raids, right?
Yeah. The pieces of paper with the printing on it.
Well, no, and I'm just thinking, yeah, you're totally right.
At any rate,
the pool's closed situation is similar to Ugandan Knuckles today.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, click. Anyway, moving on.
Do you know the way?
By the way, yeah, do you know the way? Any rate, New California declares independence from California and bid to become 51st state. Let's be honest, it's never going to happen.
They think they know the way.
I covered that on the Red Eye. That was a great story. If you guys want to cover it, Eldritch, lead off. And
well, I mean, there's not much to say about it. It's this. Although I'll be honest, they've gotten a bit farther than we've done in here in New York State. Everybody in upstate wants to get rid of New York City because we're basically their
you
serfs.
guys are a bunch of Yankees. Nobody cares about you.
Well, whatever's going on in New California, they want to basically take all the coastal cities and chop it off into its own state, and the rest of them all wanted to do their own thing. And because, I mean, it's similar to here. Everybody upstate is Republican. Everybody in New York City is Democrat. But since they outnumber us, they're the tail that wags the state. We dance to their tune.
Is there any libertarians in the middle? I mean,
no. And the problem is that because we're one of the most highly taxed states in the United States, anybody who's got any brain cells is left, unless you're somebody like me who's got family here and you can't go. Yeah, and the problem is that if you're not inclined to stay there, you leave. Therefore, there's no way we're ever going to get a majority again. Same thing is happening in California.
Well, no.
California's having flight. I mean, they're turning into they're I think they're number one in poverty now.
Yeah, they're headed to Oregon, dude. They're leaving. They're coming up to Oregon. They're
hemorrhaging. They're hemorrhaging population. Yes.
Eldritch. When you're talking about New York, you're talking about New York City or upstate?
The whole state.
When you're talking about upstate New York, I mean, are you really could that separate from New York City?
Oh yeah, no, New York City would die without us. Our taxes go to New York City. If we cut off from them, New York City would die. They financially could not survive without upstate giving them money.
At least not without a dramatic cost of living reduction.
Oh yeah, New York City would hemorrhage. They would freaking implode without the serfs upstate to pay for everything. And
well, at least Central Park West would be cheap then.
And I'd like to, you could push New York City into the ocean, the rest of the state wouldn't care. 9/11 we cared, but a year after that we were like, you're still taking all of our money. So, but moving on. Summary: I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But power to them. I hope you pull it off, but it's not going to happen.
I mean, how long has Puerto Rico been pulling to be the 51st state, and they are not yet?
Oh my God, forever.
Oh, well, that's partially because their own leadership doesn't want it to happen. But that's actually, weird note about Puerto Rico. I don't have the article up, but I remember reading this as long as you brought it up. You know how they still don't have power 100 days later? Well, they did an investigation wondering what the hell was going on. Turns out all the money they sent down there to the power company, which is run by the government down there, which is run by the Democrats, all the money disappeared. And they found all those long cables and all that machinery to put up the cables. It's all sitting in a warehouse, and somebody has apparently been selling the copper.
Yep.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
So the reason why for the past 100 days Puerto Rico hasn't had any power and people are literally dying from lack of air conditioning is because the government running the power company has been selling the relief supplies that the federal government sent them.
Mm-hmm.
Then what are they doing with the money that they're getting from selling the wires?
They're giving it to themselves.
Oh my God, why?
This is Puerto Rico is that freaking corrupt. And then they're running around saying it's all Donald Trump's fault because he's not sending enough money down there and not fixing the place. What do you expect him to do?
No.
Go down there and personally start putting the cable up? No, the reason why it's screwed up is we sent them everything they needed and then they embezzled it.
Yeah, I totally agree. They are in United States territory. They're not even a state. We sent them their provisions. It's up to them.
Personally, my opinion, I say we send in the U.S. Army, we fix their country with the U.S. military, then we pay off all of their debts so they're debt-free, then we get out and say, you're on your own. And kick them out.
No.
Kick them out with a zero bill, but kick them out with a fixed country and a zero bill, but that's just for our conscience.
No. If we're going to pay off their debt, they're going to be the 51st state, dude.
Well, and their representative body also did vote to join the United States shortly before all of their issues started.
Yeah, I'm not okay with just leaving.
Really? I thought that failed.
And not being a state.
I could be wrong, but I remember hearing that it passed.
Oh, really? Really? Okay. Well, I mean, if they actually want to join, then let's let them do it. But if they didn't vote for it, it's time to keep this quasi-state because they're money sink.
Wait a minute.
They're money sink.
No, Eldritch, you're from New York, right?
Yep.
The South didn't vote to join the Union after 1865. So how are you gonna fucking make the fucking Puerto Rico join it? Come on now.
Don't they want to do it on their own onus?
No, I thought they didn't want to. Is that if they don't want to join, go. Leave.
The Puerto Rican status
the 14th
referendum.
Amendment should be ran around again. That should happen again.
I'm not sure what you're questioning here. I think you're a little too drunk.
But the Puerto Rican status referendum of 2017 passed with a 97.18% vote for statehood.
Oh, well, if they actually do want it, then, I'd bring them on. But things are going to have to change there because... Hello?
Oh, I was waiting for you to finish. I was going to say, nice job with the drunk comment, but no, not that drunk. The 13th and 14th Amendment was ratified because the Union told the South they had to ratify it to rejoin a union they didn't want to be a part of. So, I mean, if you're talking about other countries or sovereign territories trying to join the Union, then it is quite valid.
But no, because they want to join the Union. It's not the same as with the North and the South, where the South didn't want to come back and then we forced them to. It was they want to become part of us. They like Drew just said, it was what did you say, 92 or 97% vote?
97.
97% vote to join as a state. They wanted to be a state, but we haven't let them do it yet.
Yeah, we should get that over with.
They're not the only ones that are carrying on like this too, because in the last few years, so West Africa and then Sierra Leone in particular, they used to be a part of the British Commonwealth, and then they got their independence and all this kind of stuff, and they've just figured out now that they can't really run themselves the way they thought they could, so they're actually lobbying to get back into the Commonwealth. That's what this is sort of like. They've gone on their own, they realise they fucked up, now they kind of want back into your parents' house.
I have a serious question. Is Australia going to be a part of the Commonwealth after the Brexit?
Yes.
Okay. How is there a legality there that makes that?
For us to separate from the Commonwealth, we'd have to actually go for a referendum, which they do every, say, 4 or 5 years or so, and it never works. Because we do have a Republican sort of element out here, which is part Republican, part communist, and they've been wanting us to become a republic for years. But we're monarchists out here. Fuck off. We want the Queen. So for that to happen, we'd have to have the referendum. The Governor General has to then take it to the Queen, and then she's got to ratify it, and then we can get our independence. But we've basically got our own independence anyways. We've become an independent state. We're still part of the Commonwealth, but we govern our own shit since 1901. And the only thing that we have left from the royals side of things, apart from like the Westminster system and all the all that shit, is the Governor General. Now, the Governor General, his only real job in Australia is to fire the Prime Minister if he's fucking up. And it's actually happened a couple of times in the last 40 years alone. And that's our insurance. That's our insurance to state that we will never become a republican. We'll never have a dictator. The Queen can't tell us to do shit. We don't get governed by England or anything like that. But we're not going to get stuck with a dictator. That's how we see it.
Okay, well, thank you. I just wanted the overview, and you gave that to me. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, let's move on here.
No,
unless there's anything quick.
It is complicated because, like you say, liberals, and out here we've got liberals, but they're completely the opposite here to what American liberals are. So, yeah, it does need to be explained, yeah.
Well, it's because your country's upside down. Anyway, moving on.
And your toilets are backwards.
That's
No,
so
they go the
weird.
right way. Yours go that.
No.
Anyway, moving on. When I saw this one, it made me chuckle because it's an incredibly bad idea. New rules to help retired Japanese porn stars begin new lives. Basically, if you're a Japanese porn star and you decide to retire, nobody can sell any video made with your image on it after 5 years of your retirement. It has to be scrubbed. They can't sell it anymore. They got to take it off their websites, blah, blah, blah. One, that's not going to frickin' work because the internet never forgets anything.
And that's one of the things the internet was made for anyway.
Yeah, and two, porn and cats. That's what powers the internet. Porn and pictures of cats. But, that said, if I'm running a porn business where I'm trying to make and sell porn, and you tell me, wait a minute, I can lose money on this actress? You know what? Japanese, Korean, can anybody in America really tell the difference? I know who I'm going with. Like, it would not surprise me if this, kills the Japanese porn industry. Because who would hire a Japanese porn actress if I've got to scrub my own inventory if she retires?
All right, the pervert's going to chime in here. Has anybody ever seen any Japanese porn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the pixelated one, or did you see one that wasn't pixelated?
No, I would like to say
it was something involving a
Wendy,
train.
Wendy was the one that said yes first. I just want to point that out.
And you notice how I didn't care.
You notice how I said she was the succubus wrangler.
Thanks, Bob.
Just saying, he's a degenerate.
Oh god.
Yeah, so have you seen any without pixelation? Because
Yes.
all the ones I've seen, they've got pixelated parts over their eyes, and even with the goody bits that fucking going together, they pixelate that out too. So you're really
wait.
How many
Now,
sort of
there's
protection jobs are you gonna
I'd like
get
to
after this?
I'd like to chime in for a second here.
Yeah.
Shoot.
There is also a difference between Japanese porn and porn with Japanese actresses.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
There is a very large difference between the two, because Japanese porn is subject to Japanese censorship laws. However, porn with Japanese actresses is not necessarily under that same category.
Okay. Drew, what is the censorship laws? I believe
strict,
they're
actually.
just pubic hair, right?
Well, the reason why they have... It's pretty strict, but it's the reason why Japanese has all those weird cartoon porn things. It's the way to get around the censorship rules.
Hentai was
that was my
initially-
point, but I think it's mostly pubic hair is the censorship issue when it comes to Japanese porn. Am I wrong?
Well, you actually have a point, because they did have 70s bushes in all the videos I've seen.
Hold on, I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, regardless, the point of this is this is supposed to help, Japanese porn actresses after they decide to stop being porn actresses to, scrub their image so they can pretend that they're, we're never porn actresses again.
Okay.
I'm just sitting here going, one, who freaking cares? Two,
Japan.
But on the other hand, you're never going to get this completely off the internet no matter what you do. But, I mean, this is strikes me as one of those things that was created by feminists without actually thinking it through. This is going to help women, But really, if I was trying to make and sell porn, this just told me don't hire Japanese porn actresses.
Now, going back to the law, I don't have the specific code for it, but any lawfully produced pornography must censor the genitals of actors and actresses, and up until the mid 1990s, pubic hair was censored.
Well,
Or pubic hair was censored only until the 90s, is what I meant.
As a whole, I mean, I think the reason for that is that Japan as a whole holds on to
They're
their
a very
culture
austere nation.
like they really want to hold on to their culture. So they are very reactionary when it comes to anything that changes their culture. I think that's really their reason for the censorship, is because they saw porn as a threat to their cultural homogeny. I can't pronounce that.
I don't think it is, though. If you look at porn in general, that's just a fantasy men will, or women, will watch for a couple minutes and then move on. It's not really something to threaten the whole of civilization.
Like, you may think that, but that doesn't mean that the Japanese don't
No,
think
I'm
that.
talking about the Japanese mindset. They really do not like other cultures. Like, at least the governing group, they are really anti not Japanese in Japan. Which I'm not going to hold against them. I'm not going to go, oh my God, you're horrible people because you won't let other cultures, run roughshod over your people. Okay, I got that. But they really, really seem to hate non-Japanese culture in Japan. I've heard that from everybody who's not Japanese who works there.
Well, Eldritch and Wendy,
What?
if I was doing a fucking channel with porn on it, and I had straight Asian porn, that's it, whatever, fitting to their stereotype, would that be okay? I mean, is that
Under
against
these
the rules?
rules, you'd have a real hard time selling it in Japan. If even one of those persons retires, you've only got so long to make money off of that porn before you've got to scrub it. Well, I don't know how they'd enforce the rules anywhere else,
for,
but
like, porn made in Japan. I don't feel like they can actually make you do that if your porn isn't made in Japan. That wouldn't make sense. Like,
no, but they
how
could
would
do
you
it to things
force another
sold in
country's
Japan.
company?
If you
But-
try to sell it in Japan, that's where you're going to run into a problem.
I feel like no, though, that I don't think that's how that law would work, because that doesn't make any sense. You can't have like a woman who is like Japanese American in America making porn and then have to follow that.
Yeah, but she
law
isn't a
from Japan.
Japanese citizen then.
But
This
so then,
applies
yeah,
to
so that-
Japanese citizens, and if you're trying to sell porn with a Japanese citizen in it who has retired, you've got 5 years from the point of that retirement to make your money. Otherwise, at the 5 years, 1 day mark, you got to pull all the material.
Well, what about like Japanese citizens that aren't making porn in Japan?
Well, then you're not selling it in Japan, are you?
But you could be selling it in Japan, just
Well,
like
you
we
better
sell
not be
Japanese
after
porn
5
here in
years, or
America
they will
because we
arrest
import
you
it.
and fine you. They will come after
Well,
you,
no,
and you will get arrested.
But that makes no sense.
No, most of
I didn't say it made sense. I said this is the rules. The law rarely makes sense. The law isn't about right or wrong, good or evil. It's about what is permitted or punished.
Like, that's how it's supposed to work.
No, in Eldritch, I think Gwendy has a point here, dude.
Oh,
I think she has a point.
I agree. It will not work. It will not work. But it's still the law. Just because it won't work doesn't mean the law doesn't exist. Okay. The law makes no sense.
I understand how this, like, what this law is saying.
Yeah, you
like,
understand it perfectly, and it's totally insane.
You'll find that what Wendy you're trying to figure out is that it'll work under just simple import laws. Like a Japanese citizen can come to Australia, you can film and fuck whatever the hell they want, but that film footage under these rules cannot be sold in Japan. Like, we can make it, we can sell it everywhere else in the world, it just won't get past their customs. We got a similar system out here with a lot of really German porn, like the scat and the animal stuff that's supposed to be banned in Australia. And the way we simply prevent it from coming into the country is that we've got internet blocks on some websites, and customs looks for DVDs of nefarious natures coming into the country. That's how they do it. But as for the actress themselves, no, they won't be in trouble. Not unless it was in Japan.
No, yeah, it wouldn't be unless the actress was the one who was producing and selling, but then she could give herself permission to sell it, so I don't think she'd retire.
She could come out of retirement herself.
Yeah, so, but I mean, the rule won't work, and it's difficult to enforce, and if anything, all it is discouraging people from hiring Japanese porn actresses. Which I'm not shedding a tear over, but, it would struck me as really weird.
That'd just move their film industry to some other part of Asia, like what the Kung Fu genre did back in the 70s and shit. Too expensive to film in America. We'll go to
I think
Laos.
we already covered this one, really, with the Me Too thing. Yeah, let's skip that one.
Okay, well, if you covered it, never mind. Because I didn't cover it, and that's a really good story.
Oh, you mean the PBS one? Right.
What about
Are we talking about two different? I'm sorry. I forgot to turn my mic off. I'm just talking to myself here. I think we covered the shutdown pretty much.
Yes, we've covered that.
Okay. You know what? The other one about social justice, we could skip that one because it's not really interesting. This one I found interesting. I think this is an interesting one to end up on. There's a new trend in China called cat sniffing. Yes?
What?
You pick up a cat and you sniff it.
Cheesing. It's cheesing.
No, you smell, you put your face in their cat's fur, usually the belly, and you take huge, deep breaths because they like the smell.
I know exactly what's happened here. They've just got South Park.
Yeah, it's like something out of South Park, but it actually is happening. Like they're sniffing cats. Like we have kids who smoke Tide Pods, so we really don't get to judge them too much. No, I saw somebody put it in a bomb.
No. You eat it.
By the way, I'd like to take this moment to announce my new Etsy shop where I sell edible Tide Pods.
Oh my God, Drew.
Well, no, and I just want to say, like, seriously, all you people who want to eat Tide Pods, just stop.
Finish, it's better.
Just stop. Like, cut it out.
Yeah, do not eat Tide Pods. Instead, go with our new sponsor, Portable Toilet Water. Portable Toilet Water. When you need water and you're going, hey, I don't have a lot of water, maybe I should drink out of the toilet? Well, technically, we're not telling you to drink out of the toilet. We're just asking it as a question. Portable Toilet Water in a toilet near you.
That's right.
Bob.
Sorry, that's our new sponsor, Portable Toilet Water.
Oh my God.
It's raw water. The water is raw. You know how raw vegetables are good for you? This is raw water.
Stop it.
Raw artisanal water.
Right. Don't do Tide
Pods. It's got minerals in it. Some of them might actually be helpful.
Oh my God.
Don't do Tide Pod, kids. What you really need to do if you want to get off your fucking chops, you get a bit of ginger. You just bear some of the skin off the ginger, so you got the pulp all bared, and then you jam it up your bum. You leave it there for 5 minutes. Apparently, that gets you stoned off your fucking ass for hours. Try it and let me know how it goes for you.
No,
you know that a ginger is a woman with red hair, right?
Hey.
She was the good-looking one on Gilligan's Island, right?
Yeah, ginger.
No, ginger is in the root, and I mean like.
Oh, okay. That sounded really weird. That I'm supposed to skin a ginger and put her up my ass.
And not a fuck.
I knew it was the root. That's why I was sitting there like, well, you test it and let me know.
So did I. I was just going along with the joke.
I didn't know there was a ginger root. Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, there's a ginger root.
And there's ginger beer and ginger ale.
Redhead in Australia.
Oh well, they're sniffing cats in China, so
that's weird.
Yeah, the only other thing is I remember seeing this article about why social justice warriors are the true defenders of free speech and open debate. It's
no,
it's crazy.
Are you sure you didn't get that from The Onion?
Yeah, when I thought it was, but it was. I thought it had to be a joke.
True defenders of free speech and all this. Now shut up and listen.
Yeah, it's so bizarre that they're like, and they're quoting Socrates. What was this one thing that I remember? Like, basically they take Socrates' method and turn it on its head and say the exact opposite of everything he meant.
I'd like to quote a great philosopher by the name of P.T. Barnum. There's a sucker born every minute, and this article proves it.
It's, I usually don't like to say there's a conspiracy, but when I see stuff like this, I start to think maybe Social Justice Warrior has some secret group that's trying to coordinate these
The
weird...
Social Justice Illuminati.
Yeah, like, is there a Social Justice Illuminati? Because how did this even get published? Seriously. But I don't know. When I saw it, I was just like, I just want to bang my head against the wall. No, for the record, by the way, social justice is not about open debate. Okay? Social justice does not debate. They shout people down and they silence people.
I mean, no, I don't do that.
Yeah, but then again, we don't really think of you as a social justice warrior.
Oh.
And do you define yourself as that?
I mean, have you met me?
No, but are you a SJW?
In person?
No. Well, no. Like, trying to put your credentials on the line here. Are you an SJW?
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't, believe what you want to believe. My only thing is, like, I'm not a fan of racism. I'm not a fan of sexism. And there's some things that piss me the fuck off. But, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that
people who are against social justice are not pro-racism, by the way. Just letting you know.
Well, no. And what qualifies as racism and sexism?
Anything nowadays, apparently.
You're gonna need to be more specific with your question, because that's a very, very, very general question.
Prejudice plus bigotry equals power.
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's pretty much it. It's not the whole power plus prejudice equals racism, because nobody would give up power to create racism. No. You use your racism to manipulate other people's prejudice to create power. All right, that's the bottom line. The problem is social justice warriors are the ones who try to convince you that the only way racism gets created is with power, which isn't true. It's their way they can go around being racist by saying, I don't have any power, so I can't be racist against you. You're the one with power, so everybody can hate you. The rest of us are all oppressed by you.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Well, see, that's why we don't think of you as a social justice warrior, because if you don't accept that, you're not a social justice warrior. Social justice warrior accepts that the oppressed cannot be racist. That's crazy.
I mean, I've seen some pretty racist black people in my time.
Oh, no, and I have too.
Friends with a black person who was the most racist person I ever met.
Well, wait a minute. You can't be racist towards white people. So what are you even talking about, Gwendy? Hold on now.
You can't be racist towards white people.
I am. I hate white people.
Shut up, Drew.
God damn it. Hey, Eldritch, you're not supposed to give it away, you asshole.
So you can't be racist to white people, so we can sit around singing Wigger all day. No one should give a fuck.
No, I don't like that.
The Wigger term? You don't like that, huh?
Oh, no, I don't like Wiggers.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the term because I got called that in middle school for having a big, 90s gangster rap chain.
Lies.
Here's the problem with slang against white people.
I kid you not.
You fucking phrased that in a specific way, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we missed one. There's a topic. Jacob brought it up and we missed one, which is California is prosecuting employers for checking immigration status and notifying ICE.
So they're punishing employers for following the law.
Yes.
No, here's the thing, though. You have sanctuary cities within California. So you have the state government saying one thing and the federal government
The federal
saying
government's the
another.
highest authority in the land, though.
I don't... dude.
Tell that to a sovereign citizen.
Don't even get me started.
No, first off, you don't know me, so...
That's
the
true.
federal government argument, that's not going to go over real well with me. I don't care. The state government has authority over the federal government. That's the way our Constitution is worked.
By the way, that's not my opinion.
I can read the Constitution to you word for word if you'd like.
Well,
he's very pro New York State rights, basically. And you want to know something? If California wants to screw themselves, they should be allowed to, as long as we can contain the damage within their borders.
But we can't.
Yeah, that's the problem. We can't contain the damage. It's going to spread. I mean, they because that's the problem. Like, you keep thinking, like, with social justice, they're going to take over something. They don't take anything over. They move in, they destroy it, they move on. They're like locusts. Whatever they get their hands on, they destroy, and then as soon as everything falls apart, they leave. It's the same thing happening to California right now. It's why they're number one in poverty.
Well, no, and the federal government has a natural has a natural cause to spread and to multiply and to grow. The federal government will always grow, and so will the state government if you let it. It will always grow. Don't tell me that, we should just let the federal government do what it wants. No.
Okay, well, I'm going to be perfectly honest here. You are trashed. Yeah, you missed the point entirely, but that's okay, man, because we love having you by. Honestly, I understand your position on the whole pro-state rights over the federal government. I'm with you. But that said, right now, the actual legal situation currently is you can't override a federal law with a state law. Not specifically targeting the exact same thing, which is what California's trying to do. Personally, I'm all for letting them burn. Like, they want to screw themselves, let them do it. But the problem is they're not screwing themselves. It's a very small, minor group of them who is in charge, who is using their power to line their own pockets, and as soon as the going gets tough, they're going to be gone, and everybody who's left in the state's going to be the ones who have to clean up the mess. Anyway, any final thoughts on the topics in question?
Just aside from a general, I think it's bullshit.
The whole sanctuary city thing or state or whatever?
Yeah, just in general. I think it's a good idea in theory, but I don't think they're implementing it in the best way that they could. I think that about a lot of things, though, to be fair.
I believe a lot of stuff the federal government does shouldn't be done, and you should hand it off to the states, and the states should be taking care of it. Okay, I'm with you on that. This particular problem, when it concerns the borders of the entire country, that's kind of one of the few things the federal government is supposed to take care of. They're supposed to take care of the borders. But
I may not have been as clear as I intended to be. I think that the government should have control of the borders of the country.
Okay. I'm with you on that. So
these sanctuary cities, like they kind of sound to me like fucking a Vault-Tec vault or something like that. Like, let's just put a bunch of people in here, and then at random we'll release a fucking tiger and see what happens.
Actually, you know what? That's pretty close.
Sanctuary City, close. You can come here and be safe, but we'll move a fucking rapist right in next door to you.
Well, no, I would like
to. That literally sounds like Vault-Tec.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like Vault-Tec. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, my response would be, first off, I'm not that drunk. Second, I would prefer a constitutional republic like we're supposed to have, and that's the government I would prefer, and that's where I'll end it. But yeah, I'm not as drunk as you think I am, sir.
Okay, that's good to know. Anyway,
you're not swearing to drunk. You're not God yet.
Excuse me, Mr. Officer. I'm not as drunk as you drunk I am.
I could keep it up.
Anyway, any parting words,
That's not
Farty?
What she said. Yeah, that's not what she said.
Any parting thoughts, Farty? You usually have something at the end.
Here's a quick joke for you. Dwarf shortage.
What?
Dwarf shortage.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's so stupid. Oh.
I would like to say, fuck YouTube. There you go.
All right, fuck YouTube. Fuck the government of Venezuela. And here's to you, Oscar Perez. We need more people like you, man. At any rate, it's been real and it's been fun. Not sure if it's been real fun. I'm going to be moving on here. Anybody want to say the goodbyes?
Hey, check out Mad Dogs Productions. Give me a sub. Thank you very much, Eldritch.
No problem.
I appreciate it, as always.
Always a right whenever you come by. And I hope everybody out there has a pleasant day.